but I think he's genuine and like a nice guy, but yeah, I think he's definitely off on this. But I think most Christians are off on their future eschatology.
Mm-hmm. She said, I already watched some of that video, but to be honest, I'm basically watching Andrew right now because it's causing me to grow. I said, oh, okay. I said, yeah, the video is just about the word. Yeah. She goes, I know that it's out there for sure. I said, what, the video or the doctrine? She goes, the doctrine. I said, haha, I suppose, but it can't be refuted. I said, I've watched many debates. At most, it can be brought down to partial preterism. And that could be possible. But futurism no longer has a leg to stand on. Either that or Jesus was a liar. And then she said, what's futurism? I'm like, oh, forget it.
Yeah, well, I think most people aren't really that interested. They just think that, Jesus is coming. That's all I need to know.
I guess, yeah.
They're not really interested in looking in it that deep. It's too much. So like one friend, he says it like makes his head hurt.
I was talking to my brother about it, and I said, well, the word says, and he goes, you know what? He says, I don't really follow the word. I'm not into doctrine at all. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, you can't even argue with that.
Right.
There's no argument to be made for that.
Hey, Ken and Stacy.
Hi. You could argue Christian ethics.
What's that? Sorry.
Christian ethics.
Like, what do you mean by that?
Where do you get your morals from?
How Christianity promotes altruism, and how altruism actually promotes the better of your neighbor, betters yourself, and it's the right thing to do. So that's the ethics part, and
yeah, I see what you're saying.
But you would call these guys in the world, they would be fairly strong Christians.
Well, I think that's kind of what Andrew Womack is. He's kind of like a how to live Christian life type guy, I don't think he's much eschatology, that Womack.
Mm-hmm. But seriously, in my opinion, your eschatology, it doesn't form your Christian walk, but it certainly has a good bearing on it.
Well, I think if you want to understand what the Bible's really saying, you really do need to study eschatology to see who it's speaking to, because some things definitely, like Matthew says, weren't written for us, who's it speaking to type things.
Yeah.
I think other than the name that I shall not say because I don't want to wake up the dragon, that doctrine, eschatology is the only other thing that I know of that you can actually study to actually see how deep indoctrinated people become and how deep the rabbit hole is.
Well, it's the only eschatology that has Satan being defeated too. Everyone else blames, the 85% of problems on that dragon.
Yeah. But just to catch you guys up.
I didn't catch the end of that.
Oh, go ahead.
Stacy, what did you say? I didn't catch the end of what you said.
I said that those two subjects, biblical subjects, are the two that have the most indoctrination attached to it. So that when you actually start studying them and you actually start studying the language and the euphemisms and the apocalyptic language and the hyperbole and everything like that, then you start realizing that people are taking these things literally, and you start seeing that those two subject matters have the most indoctrination attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just saying, after you were done, I was just going to catch you up real quick. But here's the quick catch up is that the quick catch up, the calls are, but I'm no longer a 78 year. I joined Rob.
What? What are you talking about?
70 AD is not the end of the prophecies. They go a little farther. They have to. So basically, the whole.
So
the
you're
whole
back to partial preterism?
No, I'm not partial preterist. I'm just saying 70 AD is not the end. It's later. It's later in time. Just a little bit farther later. And then that's
you mean the Second Jewish War?
Yeah. hmm So basically, the 5 kings thing, right? The 7 kings, rather. 5 are fallen, that whole thing. So really quickly, my new count goes like this, right? So 5 are fallen. That's Augustus, and then the 3 in between them, and then Nero. So what's that? Augustus, Caligula.
It's Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, and Nero.
Thank you. Those guys.
Pull that thing up, Rob.
Did you want me to pull it up? I can pull it up again so you guys can see it.
It's better to look at something.
True. You got to know your Roman emperors, man.
So as long as that's true, then the Bible, you know what I mean? Like, what if history's not correct?
Well, no, it's not that it's not correct. It's just that, like, I never looked at it this way before, like, just like this, exactly. And then, because I was wondering, the whole question that brought me to this, I was like, why are, like, when it says, like, the 8th is of the 7, and, like, of the 7, what are the 7? Like, what's so special about these 7? Why? Like, and then that's where and then Rob, we'd already hashed this out like a billion times before, but we could never agree. But now I agree with Rob.
Why did you change your mind?
Because of the Vesuvius stuff that I just looked up. I was trying to look into the Vesuvius stuff, which now has to be crap. Vesuvius cannot be a punishment.
Okay, so as far as Matthew chapter 24 is concerned, when is that?
70 AD.
See, the Matthew 24 thing, that's
Okay,
that's the whole where we got caught up later.
All right, so we've got John in Revelation that you can extend it past 70 AD. Do you have anything of Christ's teachings that extend it past 70 AD?
Just Daniel and John that I can think of. I can't think of anything that Christ talks about, Stacy.
Okay.
Not that I can think of.
If you run across something in a different light, please let me know, because I would be interested in hearing that.
Yeah,
no, it's
I
cool.
can't think of anything.
We might actually find it in this life. You just got to give us a hot minute. We haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah, if we see anything, definitely I'll let you know. But I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
But so 5 are fallen. So those are the
That's
5.
a good question, though, Stacy.
Yeah, no, I'll look into that definitely, because this is interesting. But so this is the only way I can see it now. Like, there really is no other way of calculating this because of what I just told you. Remember, I said, like, what makes these kings so special? Why? What were these kings doing that they, like? Why is the 8 of the 7? Like, what were these other 7 doing that the other ones weren't? Right. So Augustus, we got Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 that's Vespasian. He's number 6, and then number 7 is Titus, the one who must come after that, but for a short time, because he only reigned for 2 whole years. So that's a big clue right there, I think. And then it says
he was the shortest out of all of them.
Yeah, and then it says Domitian is the 8th, and he is of the 7. And that's the one thing that always was one of the things that was throwing me off. He's of the 7. Well, how is he of the 7? And then I was thinking, I was like, wait, hold on. So the other count includes Julius Caesar, and it includes Otho.
Well, the reason I put Julius Caesar on here is because 2 Ezra talks about 12 kings, where the Bible talks about 11 kings, and it says that the second king ruled twice as long as any of the other kings, or something like that, or the longest, and he reigned 41 years. And like Tiberius, I think, is the next by 23 years, and all the other ones are like 10, 15. And Titus was one of the shortest at 2 years. Nerva also did reign 2 years, but he was down the road. 19 years, 21 years for Hadrian. I don't know if... go ahead.
No, that's true. All that's good to mention all that about Ezra, because that is the other way we were doing the count. But it says that the 8th, Domitian, is of the 7. Well, what were these 7 and Domitian doing that Otho, Vitellius, Galba, and Julius Caesar were not doing, along with all the ones after Domitian, aka Trajan, Hadrian, all the rest of them, as far as I can tell. What were they not doing? And the only answer is they were all calling themselves God. They were all being false idols. They were
I
asking.
mean, you could go that route, or I just say he's up to 7 because he's
That's why
this guy.
That's why all the fornication and harlotry in the Bible. It's not talking about actual fornication and actual. It's talking spiritual against God. Like, that's how I'm seeing it. So you're gonna cheat on God by worshiping this false God guy over here who's claiming like, and that's why he's like, oh, these guys are getting beheaded and whatnot. Well, why are they getting beheaded? Because it's really hard for you to talk about Jesus in an environment where your emperor Domitian thinks that he's God, and you can look at him wrong, and he's going to chop your head off. Right? You see the problem? So all these people are going to get killed.
So tell me, what is the big deal? I mean, tell me why I should care about this.
It just pushes it off of 70 AD. Enough with the 70 AD. It goes farther.
What happened at the Second Jewish War? What significance?
I think if we go to, okay, so we've got to look at Revelation 19, basically. So at the very end of Revelation 19, so you have, and a remnant were slain with a sword of him that sat upon the horse, which the sword proceedeth out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. So you had all these people being killed in 70 AD, and the birds are eating their flesh, basically. But then we jump to Revelation 20, and it says, I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the great bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. He laid hold on the dragon, the old serpent, which is the devil, and bound him 1,000 years. So this is where it gets all confusing for people. When was he bound? When wasn't he bound? Or is he bound? Is it in the future? And so that's where you get the debates of partial preterism, futurism. So basically, so you have this time that people are debating when it is, but then after the 1,000 years, so because we already had the 70 AD thing, then he's loosed, and then there's another battle here, the battle of Gog and Magog. So people say, well, that has to be in the future, even if there was a 70 AD thing. But if it happened in 132 AD, then again, it doesn't have to be in the future. It could already happen in the Second Jewish War.
Right, and again,
so when was Satan bound then?
Satan is gathering Gog and Magog, so those are a certain group of people. Sorry, go ahead.
So he would have been bound basically in between after 70 AD and the Second Jewish War. So basically 70 to 132 AD.
Yeah, he would be bound for. Well, we might have to refine that. We have to look in there and find out. I haven't explored that in full depth, but that's where we gotta look now, right? Because that somewhere in, I would agree though, that's where it has to be. It has to be. He was bound after Domitian. Well, actually, I would say he's bound after Domitian, right? Because Domitian is the last troublemaker for a while, and then when's the next troublemaker coming? I don't know. Or how are you trying to view this? Like or sorry, you're saying in between 70 AD and Domitian? Okay, maybe Titus and Vespasian. Wait.
Yeah, I mean, no worries. I mean, let you figure that out on your own a little bit, but I think the Gog and Magog battle would be the 132 to 136, because it talks about 3.5 years in Daniel. That would be Daniel.
Right. Okay. So you're saying, from either 70 or from Domitian on to this battle in 134.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out what verse that'd be. Okay, yeah. So he shall speak great words against the Most High. He shall wear out the saints of the Most High and think to change times and laws. And Hadrian is the one that outlawed the Torah. He outlawed the calendar, all the feast days. and they were given into his time, times and times and the dividings of times, so 3.5 years.
Right. Okay, that makes perfect
When
sense.
was he? When was he?
That fits perfectly.
He reigned from 117 to 138, and the Jewish War was from 132 to 136 for 3.5 years.
Just the same as the previous battle, which was 3.5 years, 70 AD.
Right, so people get those confused, I think.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
why this book
Alan was saying, like, he's like, how can they be saved in 3.5 years, and then there's a war in 3.5 years if it was the same time? But if you have two different wars, then you definitely can.
And actually,
Okay,
like, no
so-
doubt, Hadrian is the last of the like known emperors for a while.
So now you guys said it was wrapped up at 70 AD. You guys, as a full preterist, believe that that's when the resurrection happened, everything, right? Or has that changed too now?
No, I
Well,
think
that's
that
all
was
I'm
still
saying.
the resurrection.
So who are the saints
just-
here?
Everything is all the same. Yeah, who are the saints here?
Oh, you're saying like were they raptured, you mean? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, or resurrected, whatever you guys.
Well, I would say it was the people that were still living, not the dead.
No, of course it's not the dead, but yeah, I'm a little confused here. I can't wrap my head
Yeah,
around
it gets a little overwhelming. Yeah.
because as a full preterist, the stance was what?
Yeah,
That's when the
again,
resurrection happened, 70 AD.
Right.
Everything
If
happened
the
by
resurrection
70 AD.
happened, then the Christians were all gone.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that, but yeah. That's-
Yeah, Albert's never said that. You know, I go
Okay.
either way, but it wouldn't make sense that they would be all gone if this part is true. That's for sure, Lori.
Hmm. Otherwise, that's a lot of Christians for a short period of time.
Right.
It is interesting. During this period of time, there is no church writings, right?
Say that
Right.
again?
well, no, this is where we have dudes. Come on, this is where your boy, your boy. Oh, come on, what's his name? Irenaeus.
Irenaeus.
These dudes. That's where these dudes are rolling around up in here. These are your
So,
guys.
did they talk about this?
Well, they talk about stuff, but I don't know if they talk about Domitian. I don't think they do too much.
You read Irenaeus' writings, didn't you, a little bit, Stacey, or do you recall? Or
I have. He doesn't really talk about anything prominent in his time period as being the end times.
right,
Right,
I don't
see,
think they
because-
realized that.
Well, that makes it more interesting, actually, with Irenaeus' statement about the dating of the Book of Revelation, because they're saying, well,
Is there
because
any-
Irenaeus' whole point is that if you're gonna, if
Okay.
John wanted you to know who the Antichrist was by name or whatever, then he would have freaking
I
told you.
understand that, but is there any Christian that during this time period that we have writings of, so we have proof that this did not sneak up on them like a thief in the night, like they were constantly warned about in the first century before 70 AD?
The only thing I can think of is there's a writing where it says something like, for those that knew, okay, there was judgment. It was referring to 70 AD, but it said, and it's in Josephus, I think basically it says something like, okay, all these things happen and they thought it was a great sign for good things, but those that knew the scriptures well knew that it was judgment coming.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Mm.
During the 40 years,
Stacy, can you turn your mic up somehow?
okay, is that better?
Maybe a little bit.
Hold on just
I mean, I hear Stacy pretty good, but I've got some nice headphones on.
That would probably help, yeah. He's much quieter than you.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the original 40-year Exodus period, where the Israelites were in the wilderness for 40 years, right? And then they went into the promised land. Would you equate that the 40-year period of being in the wilderness would be like the 40-year period of the first century church? And then would you equate that when they went into the promised land, they did have wars with other nations for a period of time? Would you equate that with the Second Jewish-Roman War?
Just a second. I stepped away to grab a water, but I heard what you were saying. I don't know, Stacy. I mean, I definitely see the 40-year correlation, like Alan pointed out. I thought that was pretty interesting. But from 70 to 32, then you're talking, or 70 to 132 before the Second Jewish War. That's a 62-year gap. I don't see any correlation like that in the Exodus story. You know what I mean? I don't see the parallel. But I see what you're saying. Several, different battles type thing, but not that exact time span.
Okay.
But I think you maybe missed it. I guess I am still sharing my screen. Let me see if I can find it again.
Make it
What
sound
did
like we're working you.
So here in Daniel 7:24, it talks about 10 horns. Out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall rise, and another shall rise after them. So to me, this has to be 11 kings.
Correct.
I agree there.
And if you count them the same way we were counting them, then 11 is again Hadrian.
That takes you up to Hadrian. And he shall be diverse from the first. And so if you study Hadrian, he had philanthropical tastes and a lot of different tastes compared to these. He was much different than these like kind of manly kings or emperors, whatever you want to call them. And he shall subdue 3 kings. And so Hadrian made a deal with these 3 people. He said, I'll make you king, Antonius, but then you got to make Marcus king and Lucius king after you. And so he made a deal with them before he died. And those 3 ended up being kings, just like he made the deal or emperors, whatever you want to call them. So he did subdue 3 before he died.
True.
So I just thought that matched up really nicely. It just fits neatly.
And now I concur. I second that motion. And that puts us out to what? 134?
136 is 132 to 136 is a 3.5-year war. It started. I can't remember. I have to fine tune that. Actually, I've got it on a spreadsheet.
That's a long time after 70, just say.
Right.
So with all that in light, you really got to rethink it and think it out before you just squash it,
And so it also somewhat, it would be interesting what Israel only people say about that.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder what our friends would say. But also, oh dang it, no, I forgot. I think. All right, maybe I'll remember.
Why would that change Israel only?
Well, because they say salvation was only at that 70 AD, but yet you still had, things happening in the future. So, but it might not change their view. And then I guess I was a little confused by their view because they're saying, okay, people look at Abraham's blessing to go over the whole world, and then that's tradition. But then they went on to say that Abraham's blessing goes over the whole world. What's the difference? One, you're calling it tradition, and one, you're calling it my view. Same thing. So that's double talk to me. I didn't get that at all. And then, I asked him, okay, well, what if an Israelite has a spouse that's not Israelite and the children? What happens to the spouse and children? Are they saved, not saved? No response.
Oh yeah, I remember Matthew 24. That's the whole thing. That's the thing that's blocking Zach. That's the thing that was blocking me. That's maybe what Stacy just mentioned a minute ago. And then Matthew 24, the whole "you shall see all these things," some standing here. So right now, if we could, can we find out what all the things Jesus was talking about when he said that?
Well, he's definitely talking about 70 AD.
Okay, but
what were you thinking? Maybe he's not, or maybe when he says, but he that. Go ahead.
That's my point. Yeah, my point is that he's saying like you shall see these things. Like he's telling you you'll see X, Y, and Z, right? He's not saying you'll see X, Y, Z, and the Book of Revelation things at the end of 24 and plus or whatever, 20 and plus. He's just saying you'll see this, that, and the other thing. So I want to know what are the things that he said. I want to know what is this, what is that, and what is the other thing.
After he says those things, he says, and then the end shall come.
And then the end shall come.
There's some things that I'm not going to share with you, and then the end shall come. So it sounds like Jesus is referring to the end as being 70 AD to me so far.
Right. But then maybe the prophecies continue to go out a little bit
echoes, of the greatest judgment in history, if they were just after echoes or something of that matter.
Well, I mean, if what we're saying is correct, like in Revelation itself, it says the whole thing about the 7 kings. Well, if we're right in our calculation, well, it has to go at least to Domitian, which is a problem because that dude is way after 70 AD.
Yeah, Domitian didn't start reigning till 81, and even if you want to take it only to...
Okay, all right. So then the book of Revelation wasn't actually written to that generation. It was written to people in the future that would read it and hear it.
I think it was written to both. I think it was written before the destruction of the temple.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it wasn't. I think it is still. I think because the only 2 people that I think could have exiled John are either Nero or Vespasian. It couldn't have been Domitian because Domitian would have just killed him. Unless, of course, he was Lazarus, but that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
But yeah, I agree with you, Stacy. It definitely sounds like the end in 70 AD according to Christ. I can't think of anything that, and I think that's where Zach, hangs his hat as well. And then also a little bit of Daniel 12, it says that the resurrection, but I don't disagree that the resurrection didn't happen in 70 AD. I just think that we can't discount the words of Daniel and John. And so, and I think it's not saying they supersede Christ. I'm just saying they're part of the whole picture.
Again, I'm not saying that the Second Roman Jewish War didn't exist or anything like that. I'm just saying that was
what is the end?
That was the after echoes of the judgment. It was, the continuing on, but not the greatest.
Exactly. I think it's just fine details. I don't think it's a big thing in the story. I think, though, that it helps explain Revelation 26, which is where people get confused.
But I mean, they asked him a specific question. They said, when will the end of these things be? Like, when will the end of these things be? The end of this? When is the end of this? And he said, then the end will come. The end of what? Not the end of the world, the end of whatever they were just talking about.
Probably just the end of the old covenant system. Yeah.
There you go. So that will be the end of the old covenant system. But that's not the end of all the prophecies or the end of the world or the end of, right? So like, what end are we talking about? You got to be careful with these things, I think.
I mean, you bring up a good point there, Albert. Go ahead, Stacy.
No, I'm fine.
All right. What do you think, Ken? Or are we like just way over?
We're all
'Cause I know-
crazy. That's no.
I just dropped in to listen more than anything. I'm actually writing my book as I'm listening to you guys.
Oh, cool. I do that sometimes, do dual things. I was working on the website a little bit earlier today. So,
Is everybody working out of the house nowadays or what?
I'm working at the business, but the business I work at, it's car parts repair. So, people need to keep their cars going to get to work. So I doubt we'll close down.
Well, I was told to stay home, so I'm supposed to be working out of the home, but
Finding it challenging, huh?
No. The ability to connect through my Wi-Fi to what I'm supposed to be doing is more missed than hit.
Your Wi-Fi is acting up?
I don't know if it's that. I don't know what it is, but
Well, everybody's saying that there's a huge strain on all infrastructures for the internet and everything because
Yeah,
there's
mine's
so
been
many
acting
people
up
that
too.
are normally not on the internet right now. They're on the internet.
Right.
That's why the UK just asked the other day for Netflix to stop streaming HD because they don't want to break the internet.
yeah. So anyhow, I've had a lot of time to work on my book, so been doing almost nothing else the past couple of days.
Oh, neat. Yeah, I noticed I've been reading some of your stuff on your website. So.
I'm sorry.
Got a new reader. Got a new reader.
That was a good one. I thought he was going to say, "I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you."
That's what I thought he was going to say too. That's what I was waiting for, and then I caught it.
I'm an apologist, so I have to say I'm sorry.
Absolutely, we appreciate it. You're forgiven. I'm a Canadian.
I don't know. He might have had an end to his sentence. I've been reading some of the stuff on your website, and what I think is, dun dun dun.
I'm mainly just reading the comments that you've had with other people.
Oh yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that it's instructive anyhow, just on how to deal with certain things.
Yeah.
So
What is the name of your website again, Ken?
So for those who don't know, wherever I have a discussion on any social networking site or YouTube or anything, when it's finished, I'll copy it all and post it on my website, because I've had cases where I have been very long, detailed discussions, and then the page is down or it gets deleted or whatever. So
Yeah.
I lose that stuff. So I just end up posting it on my site.
That's a good idea.
I love the name of his site. You definitely got to tell the name of your site.
It's True Free Thinker.
It's interesting because I'm pretty sure I was reading your website a few months back.
I'm sorry.
Before I even invited him on, what are you doing? Sabotage.
And oh man, I had brought it up at Bible study, and everybody's like, "No, I don't think so." And then I lost your website. I had bookmarked it, but I can't find it now.
I can think of one reason why we would have poo-pooed you if you brought it
What?
up.
What was it?
Because of the topics that he likes to cover.
It was a particular topic, but you know what? I cannot remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me see. I got a couple books right here. Let's see.
I've been exploring the idea that angels are kind of like supermen, not of this world. And it kind of goes, I'm just sort of comparing it with the History Channel, with the ancient aliens. And so the aliens actually being angels. I would think that God would be the creator God. So we would be a different dimension or different substance. But I am looking at, the angels, the Pleiadians, and the Orions, and different things like that, and thinking that they are regular men, but just of another world.
See, but then I would have to ask, do they have the Bible? And did Jesus only come to the earth, or did he go to their planet too? Like,
I think the Bible is about the earth.
no doubt. What do you think Bible stands for, right? What does Bible stand for?
Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
The only Rob knew that. See, why?
I knew that. That's like old as the hills.
I never. It's so stupid.
Never heard that. I'm going to have to remember that.
Really?
Yeah. Hopefully, when I'm in a physical Bible study, I can remember it if that ever happens again.
Write it down in your copybook and then watch as God will present the opportunity before you, and you're going to be like, no way. I mean, it just happened for me. Like, you just set it up.
What
Basic
do you
instructions before living eternity.
think? That's a good one too. What do you think, Stacy, about full preterism? I know you've mentioned before you could see us being like beings of light in the future with a progression. What do you think, like, we'll maybe start living long again, or like the days of Adam and things of that nature, or any thoughts about that, or just no way to know?
I think at some point we become so technologically advanced that we basically shed our mortal life and we become immortal, and at that point eternal. So it would be like dying but not really dying.
Kind of like a crossover in between the realms, maybe.
Right, a crossover between the realms. And in some part, there's some spiritual essence of man that we're actually in that realm already, but not to the fullest extent. We have the potential to be in that realm.
Like a shaman or third eye type people.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had any experience with or studied any of that, Ken?
He's got a book on aliens, I think.
Well, no,
Because
I mean, like,
Because you were discussing two different things, so
right.
Okay, go for it.
Like you know what I'm talking about, like shaman or spiritual walkers, or, do you see that being as a cult only, or do you see that being a way to God as well, or a spiritual world that can be good, not just a cult?
it seems that it's almost an abuse. Okay, let me actually back up one step. So there's certain things that we're specifically told not to involve ourselves in, like necromancy,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So there would be no such thing as holy necromancy or righteous necromancy. It's just period. Okay, so that one's easy. That kind of stuff.
Right.
There's a very thick line between that tells us not to do that. Other things, I think that they're almost abuses of God-given gifts. So I'll give you an example. One time I was at church, and afterwards this young lady and her mom came up to myself and my friend, and she's talking about how the daughter sometimes has premonitions, like she can foretell certain things that are going to happen, and how, don't ask me where they got this, but that some church in some small town had told her she's a witch because her eyes are green.
Gotcha.
And where do people get this stuff? So anyhow,
That sounds like it's a charismatic thing.
see, in my mind, it's okay. Let's say that this girl, through no fault of her own, for all I know, it is a gift she has from God. It's the gift of discernment or some such thing. But then she's being told that she's a witch and rejected by certain church members. So then how easy would it be for her to run off into full-blown occultism and then be doing that not to the glory of God? See what I mean?
Yeah, I was let me turn on my video here real quick. So I got the shirt, right? So I got it at the Goodwill. That's embarrassing. Oh gosh. So I
Great US Sunday.
I go so I wanted to get a USA shirt, and I'm gonna go to the Goodwill, right? And which is just like a thrift store if no one's ever heard of that. So
Well, let me guess first. Someone commented on the Pentacles.
no.
Okay,
I went into so they probably got maybe 200, maybe 300 T-shirts to choose from, and I knew when I went in that the first one I grabbed would be a USA shirt, and
Okay,
sure enough,
Yeah.
the first one I grabbed was a USA shirt, and I couldn't tell from because they're so bunched up together. All I could tell was it was
Yeah.
white. It could have been a jogging.
Yeah.
Who knows what it could have been, but sure enough, I grabbed a USA, and that was the shirt I got, and I left.
What does USA stand for? Universally sanctified.
Evangelist, I don't know, with an A, I guess, or
Apostle.
there
Universally
we go.
sanctified apostle. Yeah.
There you go. That's what it means.
Stands for ultra super antichrist. What?
Ultra saved apostle.
Ultra Satan antichrist.
Well, I'm going to put the universal aspect in there,
Universalism saves all.
Oh, there you go. That's a winner.
Well, it does.
That's true. It does.
That's what USA actually stands for. Universalism saves all. So we've figured it out all.
See, it's all a code, right?
Where's Troy when we need him?
But I agree with Ken. These gifts that God has given us, there's a great deal of potential for abuse. But, Peter and Paul, they knew about their own death before it took place. And there are several instances where Christians knew what was about to take place before it happened. And so these premonitions or, God-given gifts of somehow or another giving glory back to God, but that doesn't happen that often, that when you see all the abuse, then you say, well, we should just throw it out altogether. I think that also would be an abuse.
Right. That's what I was kind of thinking as well. It's like, it's one of those things though. It's like you start walking that line. It does seem to open up that door to abuse it. But I mean, that can be with anything, food, anything taken to the extremes can be abused.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's why I don't think that the earth is going to get scorched in hellfire. There's certain things you have to be on the earth, like rust.
Well, there's several religions that talk about the earth being like a proving ground or like a playground.
Yeah, no doubt. I've heard about that. That's an interesting idea too.
And that we discussed reincarnation the other night.
Yeah, we did. What? Just real briefly, because you had a book on it, Ken. You mentioned it, but what is that whole Baha'i faith book thingy about? Because I don't even know what that's even about.
That's an interesting faith.
Yeah, that is an interesting faith. They got their start in the late 1800s, and they're basically, I call them pseudo-syncretistic, if that makes any sense. They claim to be syncretistic, but they're most definitely not. They're absolutely dogmatic. So syncretism would mean that they're combining different religious, different theologies and worldviews and all that, just combining them and kind of making them all mesh and accepting them all. But that's just a front for them. They definitely don't actually do that. So they claim that their founder was actually the second coming of Christ.
Oh, lovely.
And, yeah, and they are basically a sect of a sect of a sect of a sect of Islam.
Yeah, no doubt. Wow, that's crazy.
And so
Isn't
what
there
they
a
claim,
temple in a very important location in
I'm sorry,
Jerusalem or Palestine or somewhere?
sorry, it was hard to hear you.
Isn't there a Baha'i temple that's in a very famous spot or location in
Well,
Jerusalem?
their main their main hierarchy, which is called the Universal House of Justice, is in Israel, in Haifa. And then there's Baha'i temples all over the world, and then there's local spiritual assemblies. So that's kind of the hierarchy.
I knew a lady that she
So
was
what they claim is that their founder fulfilled prophecy from every major religion. And so one of the problems is when you make a claim like that, you definitely bite off more than your theology can chew. Because if you can just try to imagine trying to mesh everything together, there's no way. And so they have to kind of water everything down and redefine everything until they kind of come up with this concoction that looks like it makes sense. But if you study it all into any one claim, much less all of them, there's just no way it works. They just, like I said, they have to manufacture it. They
It's kind of like
have to
Manichaean.
redefine, water down, just to make it sound all similar.
Right. It's kind of like Manichaeism or whatever that was, where Mani
Yeah.
came, their founder of their religion, and he was reincarnated and he was like a second Christ or something.
Yeah, I mean, some of you might find their claims interesting only in as far as how they claim, how could it be that this guy from the 1800s is
The study of the
second coming
human
of Christ,
condition.
right?
I would say their claims are interesting in the study of the human condition.
Yeah, and the study of how someone could establish a premise and then build everything upon it. Of course, if your premise is faulty, the conclusion really can't help but being faulty. But how that happens, how you
It's
build
just
this
weird to
entire
me.
edifice, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird to me how like people just recently you're saying that was 1800s. Well, when was Joseph Smith? I mean, all these things like, oh, you just came out with them like yesterday. That's cool.
But
Like,
I'm not so convinced that if your presupposition is faulty, your conclusion has to be faulty.
It's not a necessity. Let's just say that it would generally end up that way.
Right,
But no, you're
right.
right.
Yes.
You
right.
can manage to stumble your way
Exactly.
into a cogent conclusion.
Okay,
The
great.
Yeah.
clock's right twice a day type thing.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's funny you mentioned that actually, because I found in just writing my book yesterday and today, I had to run across that, like, oh, this person's premise is faulty, but their conclusion is true. But then a lot of times I had to point out, but in this case, they're both faulty. So yeah, it's interesting you brought that up. That's kind of been on my mind.
I've just been hearing and been bombarded with emotional arguments lately that I resist and go completely logical, so I'm thinking very logically at the moment.
Yeah, I feel the same way. In fact, I've had to tell people just recently, look, this discussion board is specifically set out to discuss issues and present evidence and have an intellectual discussion. If you want to emote, then just go find a different thread where people share their feelings. But this isn't where you're supposed to be doing that.
yeah.
I mean, honestly,
Give us an example.
I'm sure there's plenty of sites where you can do that, but don't turn this into that just because you find that you're backed into a corner and you're like in a fight or flight situation and you decide you're just going to fight.
You want to know how I feel? Just kidding.
You should have waited a little bit longer before you said just kidding.
Guess who's here?
Yeah,
Zachary is here.
Mr. Feinberg.
In fact, that's a good lesson that I learned watching Judge Judy, the Judge Judy show.
I love Judge Judy. She's awesome.
She's constantly telling people, I don't care how you feel.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
I think we should go on Dr. Phil. This is a court of law, so I'm asking you for evidence. Your feelings are irrelevant here, and that's a very important lesson. There's a time and a place,
This is
right?
very important for a judge.
Yeah.
That's right. That's very important for a judge.
Well,
But
we
it's like
went from,
it's like arguing any doctrine with emotion or anything, for that matter, right?
Yeah, because somebody who I told that to said, "Oh, what's wrong with emotions?" And I was saying, absolutely nothing, but there's a time and a place. This isn't the
Yeah.
place.
I tend to believe in the modes of reason put forth by Aristotle, that in order to really have a convincing argument, it needs three components: an ethical component, a passionate component, and a logical component. And you put all three of those together. And that's ethos, pathos, and logos. And so I try to temper all of my arguments with those three things in mind. So there is a place and time for the pathos portion of your argument, but you also have to have it tempered with or balanced out with logic and ethics. You know, people are attracted to ethics. You know, they want to do the right thing, or they think they're doing the right thing. So, Zach, the conversation so far that when I got on is that Albert here is a post 70 AD full preterist now, and they can't find any scripture where Christ is talking about that, but they're looking at where John in Revelation, and they're going by the emperor's list. And then we were talking about different faiths, and then the method of persuasion, apparently. So that's where we are.
Yo, thanks for the burn, buddy. That was excellent.
So when you say post 70 AD, like what the coming was after 70 AD?
No. All I'm doing is agreeing with Rob now that the prophecies go beyond 70 AD. They don't just they're not all
I
done with by the
gotcha.
end of 70 AD. They're now done with by maybe the
Like
end of
130.
136.
Gotcha.
So that's like literally all that's changing.
Yeah, I didn't twist his arm at all on this one.
No, I actually was looking at it because of Mount Vesuvius. I came across it because of Vesuvius. It's all recorded on the previous, you can just listen to the recording and you're fine.
If you love them, you shall set them free.
So what about the Mount Vesuvius? What is that?
Mount Vesuvius is the volcano that erupted and killed the people of Pompeii and Herculaneum and maybe a couple other cities around in Rome, about 79 AD in the reign of Titus.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that.
Yeah, no, sorry. We're only looking into it because, there was the theory out there that maybe that was punishment on the Romans, payback, as it were. In the one scripture, it says, like, these nations are going to get paid back for coming against Jerusalem. So I was exploring it, and then I came across this whole thing with the kings, and the kings in, what's it called? Revelation, 5 are fallen, one is yet to come, the 8 kings. Right, that whole thing, we went through that, and now I agree with Rob. It goes all the way to 136. Adrian has to be, included.
Gotcha.
How would you respond to somebody if they said, if you shared preterism with them and they said, too much for me, I just like the simple gospel?
Yeah, that's tough. I would say, it could have maybe that it could affect how comfortable you are with doom and gloom in the future. You get rid of that doom and gloom, when you like to not have to worry about the future and know that there actually is, grace and peace now.
When they say I just believe in the simple gospel, my immediate question after that is, well, what is this simple gospel? Because I find it's different for everyone. Some people include eschatology into that simple version of the gospel. Some people include substitutionary atonement theory, penal substitutionary atonement theory in that simple gospel. And then others, it's not. So, it's really, where did they get that simple gospel from?
I mean, I guess it could just be the point of salvation, which would be faith in Christ.
Well, yeah.
I guess, I mean,
very
most of the
simple.
time it's most Christians don't really do in-depth studying of the Bible, so it's pretty much just, what do they teach on Sundays? And it's, if you pay attention at all, you'll kind of hear a continual theme being presented every Sunday, which is, all right, if
Repent.
if
Repent.
you want,
Repent.
come. Yeah, I mean, sometimes repenting, more of just, it's kind of like that. What I've noticed at some of these bigger churches that I go to, the sermon will be, and then at the end of it, they're just like, so if you still haven't given your life to Christ, I just want to ask you to come up to the front and pray this prayer with me and just surrender. And it's pretty much just like the same thing every Sunday. It's getting new people saved and coming to have faith in Christ.
Well, the sermons that I'm attracted to are the ones that actually have what I call application. And, I've talked to my pastor about this. And so he's heavy on that part. And that application part is, so this is what the scripture says. This is how we feel about it. And that this is how you should go out and live your life. And those are the three components there. So the ethical component of that is, so this is how you go outside of these walls, and this is how you are to live your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely important for sure. I mean, we're supposed to, not only just be able to talk about it, but, be about it, do. That's definitely a big thing, It's where your actions are. Like, you can say a bunch of stuff all you want, but if you're not
Now
doing
that
it,
we got a big crowd, do we want to do maybe any reading?
yeah, what are you guys reading on?
We're not supposed to gather in big crowds.
Oh, yeah, that's right. How many are on here? Is it 10?
Not quite. We're good.
All right, so yeah, we're good.
Well, we've done a couple things. We started reading the Book of Enoch, but we probably want to wait for Alan to come back on that. And then we started Genesis 1-3, and we were gonna maybe work our way through, but we could read whatever.
How was your Enoch readings going so far?
That's fine. We went over everything.
You already read the whole thing?
Yeah, we did it all in one night. I think only the last part of it got recorded, but I didn't post it yet.
We only went over chapters 1-10, though.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
yeah.
I was about to say.
Yeah, no, we're not going deep. We just wanted to get to the basics to quick, to figure out like whether or not this is legit or not. Because I was entertaining it. Like, I'm in the mood for entertaining things. Entertain me.
Entertain Angels Unknown.
There you go. See? Dang.
I thought you were going to say Angels Gone Wild.
I mean, ain't you ever seen the picture? The picture of the other one, everybody's like, Albert, what do you got behind you? It's like, that's a chair. They're like, it looked like angel wings. It's like, what? Dang it, it's a chair.
Well, I don't think I've seen that picture yet, but someday we'll have to explore this picture.
What are you talking? It's the one that I used before I used the L.
He's a cutie on that.
The one with the sunglasses, where the sitting in the chair, the white chair, the black suit.
Oh, you're talking about the one where your show's on the Code Lemire?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Besides, you can just tell them angels don't have wings, so can't look like that.
Yo, dude, that's what I say. Angels don't have wings, and fairies don't have tails. I don't know who told you that.
If angels don't have wings, how do they fly? just like with the cape.
Well, if fairies don't have tails, how do they balance? You know, that's
Well, I mean, Jesus ascended and he doesn't have wings. And Elijah was taken up into heaven. He didn't have wings.
Fair
Enoch,
enough.
he didn't have wings.
what
But they
heaven
had
was he
a-
taken to?
What's that?
Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. We don't have to go there. We don't have to go there. I was just saying, what heaven was what
He just
what
had to
heaven
give
was
you-
Elijah taken
He
to?
just had to give you a dig, Ken.
Just gotta.
I missed it.
Without
I
a
just missed
rebuttal.
it though. No, I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, but where did they go to?
Oh,
Which heaven?
Yeah, which heaven?
third one. The third one.
But where is that?
Wherever Paul went.
Well, I think
I'm just
that
thinking. I'm just thinking he went up into the sky. Like he didn't go very far. Like he came back down. Like Elijah wasn't taken. I don't think like Enoch or Elijah. You know. But you already know that, right? I think we did that privately one time. The whole
Well,
Enoch and
I'm not-
Elijah.
once you get into a discussion of the third heaven, it defies our categories of thinking in terms of locality.
Fair enough. But the only one that uses third heaven is is third heaven used? Is that in the Bible or is that in Enoch? I don't remember.
I think it's
Well, the book of Enoch has more than 3 heavens.
okay. Hold on, let me just check something really quick.
See, sometimes I get my wires crossed and I can't remember which is what.
Uh-oh, that's not good. No, I don't think the term third heaven is in the Bible, but it's more like a theological term, where the
Okay.
first heaven would be more like our atmosphere, second would be out into outer space, and then third heaven is what theology calls the intermediate heaven. God's realm. I'm sorry, God's being in God's presence.
Okay, fair enough.
But then even that is not the eternal state. That's just
Oh, really?
intermediate. That's why I call it intermediate.
Isn't that where Paul went? The third heaven?
Right.
I heard.
Or, you know, whoever Paul was talking about. We don't need to get into that, but whoever the
Gotcha.
guy is. Yeah.
There's about 7 or 13 heavens, and I think that's from Enoch.
I want to say
I
10.
think I'm thinking something like that. You're right, Stacy. I can't remember.
Yeah, that'd be interesting when we go back to the book of Enoch. I'd like to look at those layers of heaven.
Yeah, it looks like 10 heavens. Enoch describes 10 heavens this way. The first heaven is just above the firmament, where angels
Alright,
control atmospheric phenomena such as the storehouses of snow, rain, and waters above.
You said
It looks like
Enoch.
that's good. Looks like that's gonna be from 2 Enoch, though.
What was your question, Stacy? I'm writing it down so I don't forget because you want to look it up when the time comes.
The discussion of the layers of heaven according to Enoch.
Layers of heaven.
Well, yeah, there's 3 books of Enoch, and one of them claims that he wrote over 300 books.
I think that's Enoch 1, but I can't remember for
Right.
sure.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it
No, I
is.
mean, yeah. I've definitely checked out all those books. There's definitely some interesting stuff in some of those books, but some things they clashed. Do you not see any of the clashing things between the Bible and Enoch?
Oh, well, I wrote a book about the books of Enoch, and I had a whole chapter on how Ethiopic Enoch contradicts the Bible.
I know. Well, there you go. See,
What
now I
was
have
your
that book.
biggest
About it.
argument?
Which page is it on? I have it right here. Right, it's this one right here.
What was your biggest argument in your book?
Just in general?
Yeah, like what's the number 1 point?
You mean about contradictions or just the books
Yeah,
in
you're-
general?
Yeah, you had mentioned that you wrote a chapter in your book how the Ethiopian one
Yeah.
contradicts the Bible. So yeah,
Oh,
what,
man.
what
I'm going to just pull one off the top of my head because, like I said, I've had this other book I'm writing in my brain for the last couple days. And I'd have to refresh my memory. But for example, it talks about a four-chambered afterlife. You know,
mm-hmm.
whereas the Bible refers to two. Before Jesus' sacrifice, although it refers to a dual-chambered place, where Enoch describes four. I mean, that might sound minor, it might be, but like I said, there's other things.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure in Enoch is where it says like the angels helped Noah build the ark.
That's the first part of his chapter here on page 55, wherein the book
Yeah.
of Enoch contradicts the Bible. It starts with Noah's Ark right here. This is Ken's book,
and
right? This is the one you're talking about in consideration of the books of Enoch, right?
Yes, thank you.
Got it right here, Doug. I got it. I got it right here.
The check's in the mail.
Noah's Ark, regarding the building of the ark, the Bible tells us that it was, in fact, Noah who built it. Make for yourself an ark of gopher wood. You shall make the ark with rooms, yada, yada, yada.
yeah.
Right?
I guess the person arguing that would have to say, well, the Bible's just silent on that one.
Yeah, but it says, yet 1 Enoch 67:1-3 states, in those days of the word of God came unto me, and he said unto me, Noah, thy lot has come up before me, a lot without blame, a lot of love, a lot of uprightness. And now the angels are making a wooden building. And when they have completed that task, I will place my hand upon it and preserve it, and there shall come forth from it the seed of life, and a change shall set in, so that the earth will not remain without inhabitant. So, like, that is completely way off of, like, angels built the ark now? This is, what are we watching, the Russell Crowe movie? Because that's what happens in the Russell Crowe movie. The angels are building it. And they're stone dudes that the angels are made out of stone.
Yeah, I mean, that's, in my mind, that's a big one.
Oh, they're made out of stone in the movie?
Yeah, you've never seen the Russell Crowe movie? Dude.
No, I haven't, but I guess they threw Noah a rock concert, huh?
I met some stone dudes once.
Yeah.
I knew a few too.
Good.
But yeah, he's got a couple stuff here in his book for the consideration of Enoch. He's got something on fallen angels, incarceration. He's got the grave. I'm not going to give it all away here, but you know, how long will the angelic incarceration last? Which angels fell? Take me to your leader. Stuff like this. Yeah, dude, you need me to help you out with any of the books you know I have. I got, what, like 10 of them?
Yeah, just keep them handy anytime we have a discussion, and when I can't remember stuff, you can just pull them out and read.
Yeah, you were like page like 50 something.
I couldn't believe it when you asked me to do that with that thick 700 or 800 page book. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I'll just send it to you.
Yeah, Wayne. Yeah.
Did you actually ever send it to him?
Yeah, she did. She was.
Wow.
Gosh, that was wonderful. Yeah, that was wonderful. Just really wonderful.
You even got a signed copy.
That's right.
He even signed it. I actually talked to him about it too.
Now you got to send her a signed copy of something, see?
No, I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're good. No, you got to send her one that's going to totally conflict with anything she said, right? Just send her one of those.
Yeah.
So how
like
about
really
them
nice
Cubs?
guy.
How about them what?
Cubs.
The Cubs. What they,
about the
they ain't
Bulls.
playing, no?
Oh yeah, that's right. They're not playing anymore.
Right, that's right. So did we want to?
This is the day the Earth stopped spinning, right? Remember it.
Yeah, I got fired.
You got
Are
fired?
you serious?
Yeah, they let us
Or
go.
you got laid off?
Your
Fired,
family
laid
business
off.
slowed down?
Yeah, everything's shutting down over by me.
Everything done been shut down over here.
So fired's kind
Yeah.
of a harsh word, though, isn't it, Zach?
I mean, laid off, let go. I
You
guess
need to
Can you
sounds
claim
like all
unemployment?
nicer.
Way.
Can you claim
Yeah,
unemployment?
Yes, I can.
Do you make less than $75,000 a year according to 2018?
Oh man,
I think you're gonna get a check for
I made
$1,200.
$76,000 that year.
Oh,
$75,000 in a crypto
sorry,
coin.
you ain't getting nothing then.
He's
Yeah, I
a
wish I made
big
it.
time Bitcoin holder.
Oh jeez.
At least you've got time for your schools and Bible studies now, right?
And us.
Family.
You have time for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we should have Bible study every night.
I still have a family I gotta attend to.
All right, I'm making, as your commander, I decree as of this minute, we're having Bible study every night until further notice, until the pandemic stops.
I think you shouldn't stop the recording. Just keep it going. We can, at any time somebody can just come on and
The
be like,
24-hour
yo.
thing, like the flat earthers? Well, let's do it.
Jeremiah 24:7. They shall return.
Who shall
Yeah.
return?
Well, a remnant.
Oh, a remnant, because we're all
The watcher.
This is the real 70 AD right here, except it's only 2020. We got 2020 vision. Well, if we had 2020 vision, we would have seen this coming. What the heck? Is this some sort of a sick joke?
So Jared 24:7 says, "And I will
See,
give
that was
them
so
a
clever.
heart."
You didn't even see. It was a sick joke.
I was on board with it. I
It's like
definitely
it's like a triple joke. It's ridiculous.
What should we read, Matthew? You pick something.
Yeah, you're being so quiet. You got to start interrupting.
He's writing his book.
You're not allowed to write things.
I don't really know what we should read. I got to be honest with you. I have nothing in mind.
Revelation 18. No, 17.
Why don't you read us what you've written, Matthew?
I can't do that. I already did it with
Yeah.
Albert
You're
and
good.
Stacy, and
We're special.
yeah,
I can't
these
believe
guys,
that.
those guys
You're
are
good.
special.
Hey,
The
Wow.
if you were
double
there,
standards.
it's
No
because
kidding.
you were
You're writing a book?
You were in a different country when we did it. Sorry.
I finally
That's not the
started.
point.
Yeah, I finally started. I got a lot of information, but I nailed the prologue down at least, and now I can have a starting point that I can go with.
Are you going to start a podcast?
No.
I think when the book is done, it could take 5 years for all I know.
Oh my gosh, you're not going to read it?
No,
just-
not with this. You have all the time in the world right now.
I know. No, I'm still working, but I think when the book is done.
It's awesome. The prologue is awesome.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. Dave.
Well, can't you read us the prologue?
Well, I
No.
can only
No.
I can only imagine how good it is. Remember how good it was when he wrote Zach's special.
Exactly.
You can't.
Exactly.
You can't do it because that was the whole thing. And trust me, the prologue is not some short thing. Okay, it was pretty lengthy. So
And scholarly too. So
Yeah, I can only imagine. It's going to be good.
that's it. That's all the hype you're gonna get because it's not a guarantee. He never said he was
you guys
writing a
got to
book.
show up to the Bible study.
Get a ghostwriter. Then when you publish it, I'll ghost read it.
I'm going to be.
Well, no, that was actually one of the things I told him to ask you
Yeah,
about.
I'm definitely going to
Although
be.
hopefully you can,
seeking your
you
help.
guys can talk about that privately.
Yeah, definitely going to be seeking your help for publish. But I don't know how long it's going to take because, once this thing is done, work can get very busy. But at least I'm started. It took me too much time to start it.
Tell Zach to say it real quick.
Have you got a name yet? A title?
Yeah. I'm naming it Replacement Theology. Subtitle is, I mean, I could tell you guys what it's, we are being recorded though, but
Right.
Yeah, you know, only give out. You got to be like.
He
Ken,
doesn't want to. He doesn't
don't
want to
give away
give
too
the secrets to the sauce.
Just
Right.
a little bit. You
Here's
give them
the
a
thing
little
that
taste, but you don't tell them what's made of.
yeah, what I
I'm
think
pretty
there's
sure
gonna
the
be-
12 people that listen aren't going to care.
I'm doing, it's
Dude,
definitely,
trust me, the 17 people we have, they're total scoundrels.
You're all welcome for listening now.
it's definitely going to be something different with all the myriad of Christian, eschatology books that are out there. It's going to be a little bit different.
So, what you're saying is you're starting a new church.
He's gonna be
Well,
on
you know-
book tours, going all over the world.
So I'm gonna need Ken's help when I publish it. Then I'm gonna need Rob. I'm gonna need your help when I start making videos for each chapter.
There you go.
Because I don't know how to make a video, and I think that's gonna be a
As
good
long
time.
as you don't orient them towards children, I think you'll be fine.
It's going to be, replacement theology is a big buzzword, so that's what I'm naming it with the subtitle of The Controversy, the Errors, and the Truth. But
I mean, that could be a very controversial book that could go very marketable.
that's why I'm trying to keep it interesting, a little bit personal in my own story and controversial. And but the difference is there's plenty of books out there that prove that, replacement theology is the derogatory term that they use against us,
Yeah.
preterists. And that's why I'm naming it that. But I'm going to be showing that it's not the church that replaces Israel. It's Christ who replaces Israel, which is a different, something different that I've never read. If anybody else has, let me know. But I've never really heard that because that's really what's going on in the Bible. Jesus became the Israel. He's the light to the nations. He's the true vine. He's the one and only Son of God. He's the one who fulfilled the law. We all say all the time, Christ fulfilled the law, but think about that. Wasn't Israel supposed to fulfill the law as part of their old covenant? Jesus did it. So he became the Israel of God. We become the sons of God. We get the right to be sons of God through Jesus. Unless a grain of corn falls to the ground and dies, it stays alone. So this book will be about why replacement theology is true, but it's true if it's speaking about Christ. And then I'll go into everything that I've, talked about with you guys for the last 3 years or whatever it is, how the older son, younger son, the interpretation of the parables, the prophecy of the Song of Moses being fulfilled in the prodigal son, all of that stuff. So it's going to be, I'm having fun so far.
Sounds good, man.
But, you
Your
should
mind is going to be blown. It's so
you should
good,
never
though.
tell anyone when you do something like this, because if it never happens, you look like a fool.
No, because that's why I just said he did not ever say anywhere in here that he's writing a book. He's just writing it down.
Just writing it down.
Well, we can hold your feet to the fire now and sort of hold you accountable.
I know, that's good. Yeah, that'll help.
No, well, we could be like, keep writing, but no, don't do that, because then that's counterproductive. Like, he'll write when he's motivated to write. At least that's how I am. Somebody's like, you gonna take that trash out? It's like, yeah, I was about to get it in actually like 2 minutes, but now that you just told me to do it, like right now, that's what you're implying. Like, might have to wait another hour or something.
He has to be motivated to write, and you use the modes of persuasion, according to Aristotle, to motivate him.
Yeah, like, trust me, when you're in, oh dear, see? When you're going to write something, you're going to write it. Like, you'll be inspired, you'll write it. Like, I'm inspired to design garden plans. I don't know. It just happens sometimes. Not all the time. I'm not like, what I want to do today? I want to make garden plans. Like, some days I'm like, I hate the garden. Stupid weeds.
No, that's right.
But other days I'm like, I'm going to take this garden. I'm going to make a super awesome garden. Changes.
Yeah, you got to go with it when you feel it.
By the sweat of your brow.
But definitely, we should definitely do something where you can. I don't know about the self-publishing. Is it hard, just in general? Self-publishing, Ken?
Ken?
Just self-publishing is easy as pie. The difficulty is marketing, which
Okay, fair enough.
that's where the game is, right? Because literally anybody can self-publish a book. That's sort of the point behind it. But the problem is, let's say you publish it through Amazon. Well, there you go. Amazon is gigantic. You're out there, baby. But yeah, but then you're a tiny little drop in a gigantic bucket. And
Yeah.
so the key is marketing, and marketing can be extremely expensive. So that's the point, is start figuring out how you're gonna.
Do you guys
How-
want to know?
No, I
Do you guys want to know a simple tip to get your book on the bestsellers list?
Send one copy free to Oprah Winfrey, and you will.
No, this is actually a legitimate way that will work. I've heard other people have done this. Basically, what they do is they call radio shows, and they try to be on one radio show a day for a year. And so, they just, different cities are always looking for something to talk about in their morning shows. And so if you just get on there and, call them and try to do that, it's a great way to market your book, and
Christian.
it's free.
It is. I think it's a lot harder with Christianity too, because people don't want to hear it.
Yeah, you're right there, Lori, because, they want the
Much smaller market.
the rock star, the drugs and sex, and the morning show that the controversial,
You have to get on Christian radio stations. And I mean,
Right.
really, seriously, you can do it. It can be done.
Mhm.
Look at what's his pickle there.
I mean, I don't have a problem putting your information to buy the book in the bottom of the description. I could do that. I could do that for Ken's books right now. If he wants me to, all he has to do is say, put it in there, and I'll do it.
And that's 17 more sales.
Maybe. You never know. See, because
Well, they're scoundrels. They're not buying nothing.
they're like,
They're going to download the PDF.
they know all Satan's tricks to get around it.
Are you on board now, Albert?
Am I on board with what?
Nothing.
I'm on board. I'm a pirate.
Why couldn't the pirate?
Albert's always
How did that joke go? Why couldn't the pirate play cards? Because he was sitting on the deck.
Oh, nice. Well, speaking of pirates, I don't let my kids watch any of those Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
No Johnny Depp for them.
Oh, really?
You know why I don't let them watch those?
What is that?
They're pirate
Because
movies, so they're rated R.
Oh, yeah. I should have seen that one coming a mile away. I was ready for that, and then you made me forget it.
Okay,
great.
how about this one? Because when you only have two pirate jokes, you got to use them when you get a chance, right?
This is the only chance in the entire universe.
All right. So what did the pirate say on his 80th birthday? I am a tea.
That's so good.
Okay, I can't even fake it.
I'm no good at pirate lingo.
Oh, jeez.
Boom.
Rim shot sound effect.
Yeah, we need the drums in the background.
The rim shot sound effect at the ready at all times.
Yeah, where's the sound effects that we used to have with Google Hangouts?
They took them out,
I
man.
got a joke. Hold on.
We needed the crickets.
Oh, Zach's got
All right.
one.
So
All right,
why
so I'm gonna
can't
need you
pirates
all
learn the
to-
alphabet?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I missed that. Go ahead.
So it's pretty much, Jim asked the question, why can't pirates learn the alphabet? And then this guy says, I haven't a clue. And Jim, because they spend years at sea.
Oh gosh. Oh man. Oh,
Okay, Ken, you've got a third pirate joke now.
Oh
right.
no! What did I start with all this pirate stuff? Dang it!
Well, didn't you bring up? I brought the Cubs, and you brought up the Pittsburgh Pirates. I
I was
think.
just trying to steal stuff. Comes a thief
Sti-
in the night. Come on.
Steelers?
Oh yeah, Pittsburgh Steelers. Now we're talking about the Steelers.
I mean, it is a Pennsylvania state. Come on, Pennsylvania team.
Yeah. Maybe we can talk about their logo.
You got Pirates and Steelers. Why is Pittsburgh a Steeler and a Pirate?
How can you have the brotherly love state and then be called the Steelers and the Pirates?
No, that's the other side. They don't count. This is the side that's the brotherly love. Those guys aren't on the other side. See, East Coast, good. West Coast, bad. You know, there is a
Okay.
West Coast. No, it's actually Erie, Pennsylvania. There's a beach in Pennsylvania, believe it or not. I've been there. Pretty cool.
That's why they're stuck at sea.
Yeah. Is it pretty big? It's the Erie Lake Erie. It's pretty big.
Okay, you guys, come on. Let's move on.
Okay, thank you. Finally, somebody throws a flag.
I've been trying. I've been trying to get the
Let's go to
the reading
Genesis
going.
4. Let's go to Genesis 4. No?
Yeah, I'm game.
Okay. Let's do it.
I mean, what else are you gonna do?
I mean, this is,
All
you
you
know,
can do is sleep.
yeah, I can't even leave the house. This is terrible.
Are you working, or that means you can't work?
No, I'm not allowed to work. I'm on 2 weeks quarantine.
Got back from
Yeah.
Mexico. Was there any quarantine in Mexico?
Oh, they were not even talking about it down there.
It's interesting that you were there and you saw. Like, so really, nobody even cares down there.
No. You know what they're going to care about is that I bet the hotel I was at had minimum 1,000 people, and when I left, it was probably at maybe 40%, and the planes were coming in empty. You know what? It's really sad because that's where they were making their money for the year, right?
Well, that was what I was curious. So on your plane, both there and coming back, how many people would you guesstimate were on each plane flight? Like full
I would
capacity, half capacity, like 10%?
On the way down, I would say probably 75%. On the way back,
Wow.
probably about the same.
So airlines getting it in, even though, doesn't matter.
But now they're cutting all flights off international, right? So, yeah, my heart just broke for those people, though. Like I would have, if I could have, I would have bought everything I could, because they get to work 4 months a year. That's it.
Yeah, that's
where
the
they
thing.
make their money.
You really got to wonder what's going to happen to all the people that are going to not have
I don't know.
cash to get through this. What's going to happen to
Yeah.
them? And then,
Yeah.
then you have to ask yourself, where is God during that time? Let's
So is
find
that-
out. What happens.
Yeah.
Elizabeth's job is in high demand right now. So have you thought about
I
that?
don't want her working.
Why? Where's your
Because-
faith, boy?
I mean, I'm good.
Well, sometimes when the husband falls, the wife is the helpmate.
Yeah, no, of course. I don't want my wife working in a hospital now.
Okay.
I mean, it's crazy. Broward, the county that I live in, is the worst county where there's supposedly 140 cases, confirmed
Dude.
cases.
Are
But
you
they're
the
not even
same
in
as
the
me?
hospital.
You're the same as me. My county is the worst of all of Pennsylvania. So that's
Yeah.
2 of us. Anybody else have the worst in their county?
Yeah, but they're not even. The people are not even in the hospital. They're at home.
No, they are. Yeah, they are. They're at the hospitals.
How many?
I mean, I live 2 minutes from a hospital. I park my car at the hospital, and they've already built a big tent right in front of the emergency room.
Right. For what?
For
They're
this
additional
whole-
IC. They're they're like
additional.
ICUs. Like
Yeah,
No.
there's
So
people,
that's
and
where
then
they're containing them, outside in a tent,
no,
There are-
that's where you're coming in to get
Okay.
evaluated.
to get tested. I get
Yeah,
that.
my mother-in-law, she does screening at the University of Miami Hospital, and if you have the symptoms and you have I guess you've traveled in the last couple days, or you've been in contact with somebody with a confirmed case, then you go in the triage, and then you can
See,
they'll see how
that's
bad
the
it is.
that's the thing I don't get. Oh, if this thing is so bad, like in Mexico, what they're doing is, if you have serious symptoms, you call them, they come to you. You don't leave your house.
Yeah.
What
that's
they're
way
doing,
smarter, don't you think? It's like, hey,
absolutely.
don't leave. Stay where you are. We'll come to you. We'll ET your ass, and we'll put you.
It
Right?
doesn't
I mean,
even
I know
make
that
sense.
I know they have sometimes they've come to people, but yeah, the biggest thing is most people are more panicked than anything. So some people think that I have
Yeah.
a scratchy throat, so
They
I
get a
gotta I have
snotty nose and they think they're dying.
yeah. So that's why I mean they have drive-through like places that you go to where I live.
Is that
You
crazy or
just like
what?
drive up
Drive-through
and you like spit in
virology.
the thing.
Who would
Yeah.
have thought that the drive-through would be like a virology? Like what?
I don't know. I mean, it's pretty crazy. You look at the swine flu compared to this, and they didn't do
Yeah.
anything in 2009, 2010, and 12,000 people died. 60 million Americans were infected, and they didn't do any of this stuff. But now everybody's jobs are gone, and
I know.
people are
You
just.
got to kind of wonder. I don't know if anybody wonders if there's an underlying
I'm
thing
always
here going
wondering.
on.
I eat Wonder Bread.
But what do you think it could be, though?
What do I think it could be? Wouldn't it be
Yeah,
a
like
great test pilot for how long do you think it would take us to take total control of a country?
That's
In
what
what? About a week?
I've been
What's that, Ken?
thinking about is our free. Yeah, I was just saying. That's what I keep thinking about. Even if this is all very much real, which I don't doubt that it is, the side effects are amazing. How within a single week,
Yeah.
our freedom of assembly is gone. Our stores are emptying out. We
Yeah.
can't congregate. Things are being
And they're using
at a
people to
whim.
shame people.
Schools are being shut down. Everything, yeah, work, school, everything is just being shut
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they're going to bring in this vaccination that's been tested for what, a month? Here, we want you to have it.
I know. It's just like I mixed it up. I don't know if it really works, but just try it.
Yeah.
There's no vaccination so far, right?
So far.
No, there have been tests that human
Yeah,
tested. Right?
they've got them tested because Israel said that they were right on the brink.
Yeah, so there's multiple. I mean, the American human test already started happening, and that's not the first one. I saw something like 3 weeks ago, where a Chinese doctor injected herself or had somebody give it to her. But I mean, again, it's just like we don't know. I mean, you go listen to China's statistics, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, we haven't had any new cases pop up," But is that real?
Well,
I
what I
mean-
would do is I would say since that line of information is suspect at best, completely false at worst, you need to look at other countries where you would have a little bit more reliable information. So I wouldn't take what China says, as far as
Well, because they've had I guess they've had it the longest, so they're seeing like, is there a point where it just kind of like plateaus and then hopefully it's a downhill?
Well, I was just like, I was telling the guys, my nephew his best friend lives in China, and they were on the
Mhm.
phone yesterday, and he lives in a city of 85 million people, and he said nobody's even talking about it anymore. He said it's gone. He said there's
Yeah.
nobody in the hospitals. There's nobody dying from it. He said
Well,
the
they
ones
weren't
that
allowed-
died were old and
allowed to
decrepit.
talk about it when they were getting it.
What's that?
They weren't allowed to talk about it when they were getting it.
Yeah, but he's an American citizen. He's not afraid over there. right?
I mean, you should
Just
probably
over
call
there.
him, see if he's still alive.
Just talked to him yesterday. So,
Yeah, well, that's
I mean, you
2
have.
days in the future from us.
So, I mean, what's the truth? I don't know. But
Yeah, I don't
more
know.
people
either.
die from, I don't know. Look at the
The f-
pandemic on our street. People overdose, and they do anything about that? No.
Well, I do know the modus operandi of the way that our nation works, and that is no good catastrophe goes without opportunity.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
I
mean,
mean,
if they can
it's
put California on lockdown, I mean, mind you, they are a bunch of leftists, but still.
oh yeah, New York's next. I heard Illinois is going. It's already happened. I mean, my city. Um, my mother-in-law was telling me that she heard from her people at her job that they were saying that that's what's going to happen pretty soon in Broward, the county I live in, but not a statewide lockdown. But again, I mean,
Every morning,
it's fascinating that they have, how much like billions of dollars are all these companies like giving up. You have like the NBA, you have all the sporting things, you have Disney World. I mean, you're talking like, so much money that they're just shutting down. I mean, it doesn't make any sense
Everything's
for
shutting
something
down
that's
because
way worse, like way insignificant compared to like the flu.
how many movies have they
well,
shown where there's a viral apocalypse, there's a zombie apocalypse, and there's an
it's true.
alien invasion? So we've got those three main themes. So they were obviously aware that,
Meanwhile, everybody's looking for the rapture and aliens to land. The pandemic plan was actually the plan that they chose. You guys failed. You missed
Oh,
it.
you mean like the 3D,
You got the wrong
3D alien show?
I think
I'm
this is
just
where
saying.
your character is going to show through, and your faith is where that you need your faith. You need trust in God.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Oh,
right.
definitely.
I've heard two things. One that I always say a lot, and another that sort of contradicts it, but it really kind of says the same thing. So the thing that I always said a lot is that hard times create good men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. But I heard something that contradicted it the other day that says that hard times do not create good men, they just reveal what was already there.
I believe that's what it is. I believe the other one too, but
Right.
Like when you
character is
find a
gonna show through.
gemstone with a whole bunch of schmutz on it.
I was in McDonald's the other
I
day. 'cause
love
there
you
was
for
nowhere
throwing
else
a
to
little
eat.
Yiddish in there.
I was in McDonald's the other day, and there was this guy in there. A guy in front of him had a mask on, and he had ordered. And the guy behind him said to him, "Now get the hell over there, away from me." And I'm like, "You got to be kidding me! Is this actually happening?" So it's showing character.
Do you have toilet paper in your stores up there, or is that like going
Yeah,
on?
they started to ration it.
Yeah,
So you
people
were saying
fist fight
earlier,
for that stuff
was
down here.
yeah, you guys are about to get locked down like us. Like, don't worry, you'll get there.
Us?
But yeah, why not?
Oh no, I think we pretty well are. Like they were.
I was looking at the updates. I mean, I ain't trying to like. I'm just saying, like, I saw a day back in like a week ago when most of the African countries were at like maybe one, and some of them didn't have anything. Now a lot of them have more than one, and then some of the ones that didn't have ones now have one. It's beginning to look a lot like Minesweep.
So
Really, is
Lori,
all that's really happening.
when you were in Mexico and you flew back to Canada, did you fly over America or the U.S.?
I never stop in the U.S. I always absolutely take direct flight.
Right, but were you above the United States? Were
Yes.
you in our airspace?
Yes.
So you had the gall to drop your Canadian Mexican cooties upon us.
You know what? I hope they flushed that crap right out of the airplane.
Yo, those are the real chemtrails.
Yeah.
You take your kids outside. You go, oh, this is such a beautiful day. Smack. Take that, you dang bloody American.
But when we went through customs, nothing. You know, when I went through customs, as in passing, as I'm walking by, the guy said, "You got a fever?" No, I'm good.
So is your prime minister's wife, your first lady, is she doing better?
I don't know. Who knows? I don't
What?
follow it.
She's sick or something?
Yeah, she's got it.
You know what's interesting to me? How many celebrities are claiming they have it?
Mhm.
That is interesting.
Tom Hanks was the first.
There's like 24 of them. And I think it's bullshit.
I don't know.
I mean, technically, Tom Hanks should be safe. He was cast away on an island with Wilson the whole time, so he should be good.
That's true.
I don't know. I just
heard
don't believe it.
That Tom Hanks is sick, and we've got Forrest Gump in the White House.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I just know it's crazy that,
You know what I find interesting is in Canada, anyway, I don't know about you guys, but I have not heard of one person being tested.
Well, there's
So-
no one in my county that there's no confirmed cases in my county.
Okay, but what I'm saying is
Obviously, there'll never
nobody's
be.
being tested. So if nobody's being tested, nobody knows how many people have it.
Yeah, just know it's really a lot, way more than what they say it is.
Absolutely. So if they test 100, you can bet 1,000 people have it.
Well, that's
Oh,
why I was saying the
definitely.
numbers are totally irrelevant.
And
You
it's like
can't even
talking-
tell how many there are.
like talking
You
Yeah,
can't
about
you
even
have
keep
no
track.
when you see there's 17 you don't see.
Like I watched a
Yeah.
guy being interviewed. He was in his 70s, and he had it. He was tested positive on the cruise ship that they had detained, him and his wife. And he said all he got was a slight dry cough and a slight fever.
Yeah, I
Lasted
saw
a day
that
and he was
guy.
done.
And his
So-
wife didn't even catch it.
Yeah. And they're in their 70s. So
Yeah, so according to this website, as of 6 o'clock tonight, we have 510 confirmed cases in Florida. But just this morning, it was like 300 and something.
right.
So they're doing more testing. So that's why these numbers it's just gonna blow up soon
Mhm.
because they're getting more testing done. They're getting more.
But your wife can't
guess
take time
equipment.
off, can she? Being
No, my wife doesn't work.
Oh, she's not working. Oh, okay. Well, you don't
No,
have
she
to
hasn't
worry
worked in
about
like a year.
Right.
Yeah.
By the
But
way,
if
is
she
that-
wanted to, she can get a job quickly.
Now, let me ask you this, because they were changing the licenses of doctors so that doctors could practice across states. Are they doing the
Mhm.
same thing for nurses?
Probably. And dude, listen to this. Right now, we can go to New York and they'll pay $4,000 a week for RNs. It's $111 an hour.
Yeah, wow.
That is mind-boggling.
I'd be on the next boat.
Yeah. If I was a single person too, I would too.
Well, you've got a mother in New York, don't you?
Who, me?
Someone, a relative up there? Somewhere?
No. My mom was gonna move there, but she never did.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, I wouldn't move. I mean, first of all, New York is a terrible city and place to live, anyways. But
Oh,
yeah,
Not
it
Long
is. But
Island. Long Island is great.
So, Matthew, are you working?
Yeah,
you only have those 3 jobs, all right?
I got a couple of jobs left, and the thing that I'm worried about is that I have jobs in the future, but I don't think that anybody's going to want us to start them yet.
Yeah. What
I think
about?
I'm
Do
gonna
you
have-
guys do permit? Like you pull permits and everything?
Only for the jobs that need them.
Okay, so you'll do work without a permit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah,
most
that was
of the
one thing.
jobs are without a permit. We do a lot of
Gotcha.
kitchens and bathrooms.
Yeah. See, my company, everything is permitted.
Mhm.
Like you get permits for every single thing that there is. And that was something that they closed down like the beginning of this week. The cities stopped doing that. So even if we were still open, like my company is still open, there's still work happening next week, but they laid off like 80% of everybody.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
and then
I'm
I would
not worried,
imagine it would, yeah.
not worried about myself. I have reserves. I'm just worried about my guys,
Yeah.
Got two
Like,
employees, and I got to keep them going.
like how long, like, I mean, that's the thing. Nobody knows. I mean, I was talking to one guy saying it could be 2 months. Other people say it could be 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, you don't know.
Other peoples are saying 2 years.
No, I've never heard
There
that.
will
Oh,
be,
come on. They're saying all sorts of numbers.
Yeah, I've heard 18, 2 years. I've heard that.
well, there will
I
be
mean,
a
but being on lockdown and stuff like that. But I mean, like
Yeah.
no work. Like yeah, of
I
course,
see what you mean.
the sickness will be here. But this shutting down of all stores. I mean, even where I live in Florida, the beaches are being patrolled by police officers.
I'm just saying, like, dude, isn't it good to know? Like, it's good to know, like, all right, all this stuff that's happening. Like, think of all the things that are happening now just because this happened, right? Like, if it wasn't a worldwide pandemic, certain things couldn't happen, right?
well,
Like,
my
it would
church
never, we would never fly.
Wednesday night had its first Zoom service. So they're
Uh,
actually having services over Zoom.
yeah,
What about
churches are doing
mega
it.
churches? Are they still meeting? I wondered.
No. All
By
shut
the way,
down.
there was a super surge in users for Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and all the other kind of things like that. So the stock for Zoom went. Yes, you can buy stock in Zoom.
I heard the Netflix is doing a, I guess like an online, like you can watch a movie together with people. So it's kind of like you're all there watching a movie, I guess.
I mean, Joel Osteen is preaching to an empty entire stadium, just being
Mhm.
filmed.
He'd probably be just by himself to
Yeah, sure. I mean,
no audience, and then it's just broadcast. What's the difference? Why do we have to have huge gatherings if we
Right,
can
but
have?
nobody gets to laugh at the joke at the beginning.
Nope.
well, at their home, yeah. He could just
Have
imagine.
you guys joined in the world prayer?
What's that?
They're doing at the same time every day, praying for the earth.
Mm. I mean, I'm praying, but I didn't know that there was like a
And I
group
think
like
there's an
that.
organized thing apparently online. At the same time every day, you can get a time set to pray. Everybody.
I'll just pray when I feel like I'm ready to pray. You know, I'm not going to do it on somebody else's time schedule. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's an interesting thing.
I'd like to read what my old church pastor, he put out a letter. Now this was before this week, but it was before the 10 limit gathering and something. So I'm not sure what if it's changed now or not. But I thought this was interesting. He said, okay, so he wanted to talk about. He wrote a letter in 3 parts: me personally, our church, and you. And so he says this: I, by conviction, am committed to preaching during both Sunday morning worship and Wednesday night Bible study, regardless of what happens or what we are told to do. This decision is not defiant or cavalier, but a decision that I believe comes with being a faithful shepherd. For 2,000 years, pastors have faithfully preached the word of God in the face of all sorts of threats, many of them much more life-threatening than COVID-19. The Apostle Paul, writing to Timothy in 2 Timothy 4:1-2, I solemnly charge you in the presence of God and of Christ Jesus, who is to judge the living and the dead, and by his appearing and his kingdom, preach the word, be ready in season and out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with great patience and instruction. Amidst the current concerns and fear, the preaching of God's word is indispensable for the people of God. Allow me to give you a quick example. I am reminded of the bubonic plague, the Black Death, which devastated Europe in the 14th through 16th centuries. The Black Death came out of China from 1347 to 1350 and eventually killed 1/4 of Europe's population at that time. By the way, COVID-10 doesn't compare to the Black Death with its 30 to 40% mortality rate. But for the sake of illustrating a worst case scenario, in August 1527, the plague had struck Luther's city of Wittenberg and many fled. The prince ordered Luther leave Wittenberg, but Luther refused. He understood his responsibilities came from a higher source. Luther continued to preach and minister to his people. The wife of Wittenberg's mayor, Tillo Dean, virtually died in Luther's arms. By conviction, Luther continued to minister hope and the word of God in a desperate situation. I will do the same. I thought that was just kind of interesting. Presbyterian.
They're definitely, you know, yeah.
Hey, Zach, by the way, I used to live in Dade County.
Okay. Where at?
You can have it, by the way.
Where at in Dade?
Dade County, let's see. I need to harken back. Kendall.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother-in-law lives in Miami Springs. I'm not sure how far away from that from Kendall is, but I
Tell you
hate
what,
Miami.
I'll take the beach, but you can have the whole rest of the city.
Nah, I mean,
Yeah, not for me.
Florida's cool and all. I mean, I would love to be somewhere like North Carolina or Tennessee or Georgia or somewhere in one of those states.
You know what? I'm with you on that.
Where are you
Why don't you
living?
move, Zach?
What happened?
Why don't you move?
That's the goal.
Oh, okay.
Where do you live now, Ken?
I'm in the Southwest, and it's getting too cold for my old bones. I mean, we get 4 seasons, but I'm just saying the winters are just intolerable.
What's the
Southwest
temperature
where?
like?
Cold.
What state?
I'm in New Mexico.
Okay.
So I don't know. We can go down to, well, I mean, you also have rural areas that get a lot colder, but I'd say in the 10s and 20s, 30s, 40s, you know. Yeah, I just can't endure it anymore. Just can't do it.
Are you going to move?
I would love to.
You gonna
Somewhere
move to
that's-
Canada where it's even colder?
Oh,
You're gonna move
no.
south. So you're gonna go to what, like Texas? You know, where are you gonna go?
I did
Can't
go
go
to
anywhere.
Canada once, but
You have to leave the country if you're gonna go somewhere.
I went to Canada not to live, but I actually debated an atheist up in Canada in Wilfrid Laurier University.
Where's that?
Waterloo, Ontario, or Ontario
okay.
Waterloo, however you guys say it.
Waterloo, Ontario.
Yeah.
Do you guys actually, as Americans, do you guys know Canada at all? Do you know where the provinces are and anything
I
about
know
Canada?
I know
No.
only where you live, I
Canada's
guess.
north. It has
That-
an east
Yeah.
and west coast, and that's it. We're Americans.
That's-
We're completely geologically.
Yeah. All I know
Yeah.
is that one time I tried to look at a voyage to go up there and find the Bargo Islands, which I'm not sure exist or not, but they're past your country. So like, yeah, there's like thousands and thousands of little broken up islands up in the Arctic and stuff. Like they're looking for the Northwest Passage. Like, yeah, I don't even know. But yeah, I know you got like what 3 provinces. I know you got like
I
Quebec.
think like 4 of them, right?
Your name is Canada, and
Oh my God, what
I know
did they teach you guys?
I know that on the west coast of
We do
Canada there
not
might be
learn geography.
Sasquatches up in British
I
Columbia.
just know you live in, I think, what is it, British Columbia or whatever?
British Columbia. That's on the
Yeah,
far
like on the
coast.
west.
on the west
Yeah.
coast. Yes.
And that's where you are, right?
Yes, we have 10 provinces.
Yeah,
know
so
that
other than
Italy-
that, I know nothing.
I know that Italy is in the shape of a boot.
Yeah, boom, kicking the can.
Oh, that's so funny.
I was just gonna say that, but yeah, it is.
Um,
I don't even know all my states in America.
I would say I know
What?
most of the states.
Yeah,
Well,
I would imagine if we had
That's
a
Didn't they teach you
competition, you
that
would
song?
destroy me.
for you to know all of the United States. That's completely un-American.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Move to Canada.
Did you guys have you ever watched those videos of people being interviewed? Oh
Yeah,
my
it is
gosh,
so funny.
it is
Who won the
embarrassing.
Civil War?
What was
India?
cool, when I went to Canada, before I left, I was able to get on Google Maps and do the street view. I could actually go right up and down the street from my hotel to the university and back, just making sure I would know what it looked like, where I needed to go when I got there. That was awesome.
I do that too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Although I found out that where I was, in Waterloo, they don't offer free coffee refills. It was driving me crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think most restaurants do that anymore.
Or is that like a spoiled North American thing? I demand my free coffee refill.
You know, one thing I noticed when I was down in Mexico, the obesity was unbelievable for people.
Wow.
When you where at? Where was
I
this?
bet you 8 out of 10 people were overweight. I was shocked at that because you don't really see, like in my city, you'll see people, a couple of pounds here and there or whatever, but not every person.
See, it's interesting you mentioned that because where I was born, you would be hard pressed to find a single obese person if you walked around for a month all over the streets.
Where were you born?
Where were you? Yeah.
I'm a southerner, way down south. I mean, way just north of Antarctica.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
oh
Argentina.
yeah, it's a scary thing. like, oh,
The only
like my girlfriend, she goes to Arizona all the time or wherever it is. I don't know. And this guy said to her, "You guys are from Canada, eh?" And he goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh yeah, how'd you know?" He goes, "'Cause you're not fat."
the
Wow.
only fat Russians
I
are the
mean,
babushkas.
I was fat.
What, Zach?
So I was fat.
Oh, was.
I'm down to like 174 now.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
He's like, that's all I got to say about that.
But I did eat pizza and ice cream tonight.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a birthday celebration. 'cause
Well, we don't have
tomorrow's my
buffets up here,
birthday,
eh, you
so-
guys? Like, we don't have buffets.
You don't?
No.
Nobody
You don't
has
have a Golden
buffets right
Corral.
now. Buffets are closed. You
You
can't
don't have
have
a
a
Golden
buffet.
Corral
It's
where you pay
illegal
like
worldwide.
12
right?
bucks all you can eat.
You show me
Yeah,
where I
and
gotta
I
go
think
get a
that's the
buffet.
worst thing that a person can do to themselves.
I
You know
know.
what's heartbreaking for me is every morning my mother gets up and she's like, well, where are we going to go today? And I'm like, we can't go anywhere today. We have to stay home.
I know, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Well, you could give your wife a break and she could, you
Do
know what I
that
mean?
too.
Well, yeah, obviously. But I mean, like, what are we going to do? We can't go nowhere. I got,
You can go for walks and do
I
things
know
like
what
that.
you should do. You know what the best
Yeah.
thing you should do is enjoy your time off. That's what
yeah.
you should do.
Write a book.
I got to write a bunch of papers as is already.
Zach would
Oh,
do
well,
it.
you'll be busy.
Yeah. I'm taking a Romans class, so that's kind of cool.
Yo, man, I should be delivering pizzas right now, making that cash, but I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna risk it for like $100 a night. Like,
How's
screw that.
your Robin Hood? How did that hit?
Oh no, we already talked about that earlier, but Robin Hood got smashed. My Robin Hood got smashed.
Yeah, I would imagine.
It's minus. I'll tell you, it's minus. Last I checked, it was about 8,000 minus. So,
Oh my gosh.
but dude, it's cool. Like I don't mind. It's
It'll come back.
What is that movie where he's like, it's just a scratch. Like it's fine. It's Romeo and
Yeah.
Juliet, right? He's like, it's just a scratch.
No, it'll come back real quick.
I think it'll fully rebound. So like, I'm not worried.
That's the Monty
Vincent.
Python where he cuts off the arm and he's like,
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. That's where it's just a scratch. He gets his arm cut off. Thank you. See, I knew there was a reason I wasn't getting it right. You guys have seen that? The Monty Python?
I had to educate him
I
the other
don't
night
listen to hip
on
hop.
Bloody Rabbits.
On what?
You had to remind me about the
Bloody Rabbits.
rabbits. But I told you that it's in World of Warcraft, which I play. And it's the Dark Moon Fair Rabbit, like no doubt.
We are the knights that go neat.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, the knights that go neat. Yeah, exactly.
Did you guys do your
Sometimes-
daylight saving time thing or what?
One time, yeah, we're definitely doing.
Oh, yeah.
We're saving all the daylight we can get because you know what? We're gonna be bored because we need stuff to do now because we're all stuck at home. So we need more daylight. So
You
that's
think
why
about
the
60 years ago.
No,
you
that's
know.
why the president should also we should all sign a thing right now, a petition to keep daylight savings on all the time, forever. Just keep it on all the time. Don't ever turn it off.
You
Why
think
do
back.
we have to put our clocks back later? Like, stop doing that. Like, what? New Mexico? Do you even do that? One of the Arizona, one of these states doesn't even do that.
We do. Arizona doesn't.
Yeah, see, like, how can Arizona just be like, yeah, we're not going to do that, but everybody else is like, we are going to do that? Like, what? Can I just please, like, can I, as an individual, choose not to do that, please? Like,
Yeah, I
screw
hate it.
what the whole state wants to do. I want to do it. Like, I don't want to.
You have to
Keep
have
it on.
nation-state status.
You think back 60 years ago, this conversation wouldn't even be taking place. None of us would know each other. And you would all be working physical jobs. And you would all be doing things in the evenings, and you go to bed early and you get up and you do the same thing over again. But people live in big cities now, and there's no physical jobs really, so to speak of. Everybody lives in a condo or an apartment, so you have no yard work in comparison to what there used to be, right? It's a different,
I guess.
Right.
Somewhat-
Yeah. So
somewhat of a
yeah.
different
So all
lifestyle.
the whole reason for even saving the daylight is negated. Is what you're saying.
We even have little robots that sweep the floor up for us now.
Yeah. See, so like, why save daylight when the robots can just do it for us? But we need to save daylight because we want it to be 8 o'clock at night and it's still light out. That's what I want. Like,
I'm
that's when it's
curious
good.
I'm curious as to what people are going to do. Say this carries on for 2 months, right? You think about, everybody's happy right now. You think about 2 months down the road, money's run out, nobody's working.
Cabin fever.
Well, again,
Cabin fever.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know what that means?
Yes.
I mean, how are they going to police that? I mean, obviously, there's not. I mean, like right now in my state, the governor has said, no more dining in restaurants. And I drove to go pick up the pizza, and I saw 2 restaurants that were packed.
yeah. But here's the thing: people are breaking the rules. People are not breaking the rules, but they're eating
Tonight's
this.
isn't tonight the last night though for that?
Well, before it was a 50, like a 50%, like I guess what they can hold. So if they can hold 100, you can only allow 50 people in. But I'm telling you, these restaurants were packed. every spot in the parking lot was
Of
filled,
course.
and and it was
Well,
just like a party
at
going
the
on.
same time, they're trying not to let the economy go to total you know.
Yeah, that's already happened.
No, it hasn't, dude. Are you kidding? You telling me the economy went to crap? Look at all the shelves, dog. They're empty. Like, you telling me people ain't, like, everything is bought. There ain't nothing you want
Yeah,
right
but I'm
now. Like,
talking about
even like
2 months down the
sandbags
road,
are
Albert.
probably gone. You can
Yeah,
go to
I mean, dude, but also employment. I think about 2 million people were laid off. I mean,
well,
I'm
okay,
listening
well
to
maybe they were, but who's
um,
doing the laying off?
I,
I mean, these are
what'll happen-
companies
small
that can't
businesses.
afford. They
I,
can't afford to sustain.
I think what'll happen
Yeah, small businesses.
to apply for food stamps, and there'll be like this mass government bailout for individuals for food and stuff.
Yeah, but you know what? You can only do that for so long, Stacy, when half the country's out of work.
Yeah, I mean, we're supposedly getting
The
a
money's
stimulus
where's the money
package.
coming from?
So you don't understand. The
Yeah.
Fed would just print more money, and it's in the Fed's best interest to not let the slave workers die.
Well, I hope
Exactly.
you're right.
No,
Yeah, I
seriously.
mean, I
Like,
wouldn't
if
mind.
I was the evil genius behind this whole evil thing, then that's exactly. I don't want all
Because
my
that
little
that with
slave
that
minions to die. That would be
that means,
terrible. Like,
that
that's the
means
end of me. Like,
is
what?
the Fed doesn't consider itself a parasite to where it actually kills its host. It wants to be in a symbiotic relationship to where it benefits from the host's survival.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, you
definitely.
got to
It's just like,
remember who you're in debt to. It ain't a good feeling.
yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I even heard that Trump passed something where that, especially for small businesses, that in all businesses, that if somebody got sick, you had to pay their 2-week paid sick time, their PTO, and if a family member like their spouse got sick, that they were to go on maternity leave or something like that for up to 12 weeks with like 60% pay. And so when Trump passed that, all these businesses, quote unquote, laid off their employees. And I was wondering why my company did it too, and then I was listening to Ben Shapiro today, and then I was like, oh my God, that's why we all
Like,
got laid off yesterday.
you're listening to Ben. He's the only one who's making sense, right?
Why? What's the
I
reason?
like Ben Shapiro.
What's the reason?
I do too.
What's the reason everybody's getting laid off?
Yeah. What does he say?
So what he was saying was because Trump passed this thing that employers would have to pay PTO and maternity leave for people that are sick. But if you let them go or fire them or lay them off, then you don't have to pay them anything. Now they can go
Well,
collect unemployment. They're not hired through the
It's not their
employment.
responsibility anymore.
Exactly. Now
Yeah.
it's this government. So that's what they did. My job emailed us all saying like, we're really sorry. This is the hardest thing we ever had to do. And, they're pretty much laying everybody off. And then here's check out your benefits at federal unemployment, whatever. And then there was a link. So I have to click it. I have to go on there next week because I tried yesterday, but because it's still the same week, I'm still technically working, that I couldn't apply. So I'll apply next week. But again, like they don't give you, like how much are they really going to give me? I mean, I'm thinking like $250. I mean, I have a family of 4 and I'm the only person at work. So I'm hoping at least like 300-400, but
Dog, the package that I heard, right? You're supposedly going to be getting at least 1,200, but there are people that are saying that's not enough. So 1,200 for married couples. You guys are
no,
married.
yeah. Trump is,
Plus,
there's 2 stimulus checks that are coming, one in April, one in May. That
well, no,
should be a total like
one in April. Yeah,
3,500.
within 3 weeks, right? Within 2 or 3 weeks, right? They said they want to get the cash, but
Yeah,
like,
I mean that's what I need. I would need that for sure.
right? But I'm saying for you,
But
like, you're
it's
a family
true.
of 4. You're a family of 4, so you would get at
Yeah.
least 3,000 or more. That's what I last
Oh,
heard.
yeah. Yeah, what I heard was 3,500. for me and my
3,400.
wife and my kids. 3,400, yeah, something like that. Which would be nice for sure. I don't know if that's, the combination of both checks or if that's one-time payment in
No.
April and then another
No.
payment in
Yeah, no, they're saying $1 trillion package, 500 billion each time. And if you do the math out on that, you'll soon learn the answer to that, because you'll be like, oh, well, you can only pay this many people.
Can I just get the
100
first
billion.
check? Just give me the first check.
Right. So yeah, first check would be
I'll
the
take the
$3,000
500.
check. But they said if it's still in a
No, I'll take
national
all of it.
emergency after 6 weeks, that's what they're saying right now.
But after
Then-
this is over, your uncle will have
Then they'll give you another 3,000 after 6
Yeah.
weeks if it's still a national emergency only. That's it.
Yeah, nah. But they say they, it's my uncle then sent another email saying that nobody was fired, you're just laid off. But the thing is who knows the, what it's like at the end of the tunnel. I mean,
Right.
true, let's just say everything goes good
Oh.
in 2 months, but then is the economy going to be at where it should be to keep business? Like my uncle's
You know
opened
what
up
this
this
does for
business
the
in
world, though?
1984.
Do you know what this
It
does for
starts
the
it all
world, though?
over again.
I want you to go ahead for a hot
What?
minute and look at all the good that this does for the world. Could you please? Because everybody seems to be just surrounding me with all this negativity. So what is the good that comes out of this? Like, look at all the people that are capable
I get like a
right now
2-month
of
vacation.
working from home. They're capable of working from home, doing the same job they were doing in the stupid office. No, they can do it from home. Why do they have to travel? They don't have to travel. Why are you making them travel? See, exactly. Do you see what this could be a good thing? It could be like, all right, all these people over here who were working from home, they don't need to, just keep them at home. Like, why do they need to? And then that would uncongest the streets. Like, we could solve so many problems out of this
Well,
if
I'll
we
tell
would
you
just
that-
think for 5 seconds.
I'll tell you that Atlantans will get in their car to cross the street.
That's terrible. I mean, I can understand if you have like a disability doing that.
But Albert, you know what? I mean, and I'm not defending this, but do you know how many people are so far in debt? They're not going to make it past next week.
I know.
2
That's
months.
a problem.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not defending it.
No,
But-
of course. That's why people need. That's why they.
I mean,
pass this
technically, I
immediately.
live paycheck to paycheck. I mean, if I don't get paid, I can't pay my mortgage, my HOA. I
Exactly.
can't buy food. I
You're
can't
in
do
the
any of that
same
stuff
category.
because,
Yep.
I only make like $500 a week, and I have.
But if everybody defaults at the same time, they're not going to be able to enforce the collections.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I
Well, they're not.
heard.
Then what
So
happens?
do you
I heard-
also
Banks,
see how
Stacey.
this squashes like most conspiracy theories too? Because like it.
But
I mean, have
Stacey,
you-
then what happens to the banks? If nobody's paying
Exactly.
their mortgages, what's going to happen to the banks? 2000
what happens?
all over again.
They're giving leniency on all this
Yeah,
stuff
I
though. It's
know.
like, this is
No,
I
very
heard
no
it's gonna be
leniency.
even worse.
Nothing comes for free. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's all unprecedented, and all I have to say is there's only one person you can thank for all of this. And is he a person? You know who I'm
The
talking about?
devil.
No,
The
dang it,
Pharisees.
man, it's God. Dang it.
But
You
no,
blaming
it's
God?
true.
Do you blame God for it?
I ain't blaming him for nothing. I'm thanking him.
You know, we've all been told not to.
What am I blaming him for? Nothing.
Who's writing something? Oh my god.
Oh, he found the whiteboard.
No. You're
Satan
spelling that
knows.
way wrong. Is that how you spell Pharisee?
Same thing.
That
Yeah.
is how you spell Pharisee in Dart language.
Did you? You ever seen the movie Borat?
Yeah, of course I have. I
Oh,
speak
there's
to you
one,
sometime I say in sometime in Kazakhstan.
the evil Jew.
And throw you down the well. Then my country
Oh, jeez.
you must hold him by his money.
But no, true though. So what's gonna happen with mortgages? Are they gonna collect that payment?
Oh, dog,
They're-
they're saying they're going to give leniency on all that,
They're not-
like all
they're
your
not
mortgage
giving
payments.
leniency.
No,
It's not
you still
called
got to pay it,
leniency.
obviously, but they going to
Exactly.
postpone, like, you ain't
Yeah,
going to
you'll
get no
pay it
penalty.
in the yeah,
You ain't gonna get no
no
penalty.
like interest rate going up or nothing like
Yeah.
that. Just
That's awesome.
pretend that there's like
That
a pause in the matrix.
That is huge. That's huge.
You know what?
You know what
Well,
I see happening
It's
in
not
this
really good.
crisis?
I'd rather-
The world is coming closer to each other, right? Because we're all like, oh, look,
No,
we are
we're
really
farther
just all like.
apart now.
So are you trying to tell me that this is not God's doing? Like, it's just Satan's doing? Who's Satan?
no, I think it's man's doing.
Well, that would be a good Satan. But, like, seriously, why? Why is all this happening? You have to ask yourself. There's no prophecies about this, are there? No, like, what? Where is
I mean,
this?
Well, it
today,
depends
one
what
of my
station you're on.
coworker was just like, "Yeah, man, this is what the Bible warned us about the wars and rumors of wars and the pestilence." And I was just like, and I looked at him and I was just like, "Yeah, some people are saying that." And he goes, "Yeah, man, this has got to be that." And I'm like,
And you didn't correct him.
well, what I said was that there are, and I pulled it up on the computer, so many other plagues that are, I mean, the bubonic plague, the Black Death,
Right.
or whatever they call it.
Read that.
There you go. That's good. That's good.
30.
Yeah, 200 million people in Europe. This is nothing. The flu killed. So far, this flu season has killed 22,000 people in America.
Right.
Hospitalized.
CDC says 56 or 58,000 per year die of the flu.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
And they're freaking out about something that's killed less.
Yeah,
Well,
I know.
just
I
over
know.
10,000. I
And
mean,
it's mainly
I see
affecting
how it
older
could get
people.
worse. But
So
I'm
what's
just
going to
saying,
happen next year? You know what I mean?
oh, well, no. What are you
Uh,
going to resurrect it? Don't pull the Jesus. Don't resurrect the virus. There is no resurrection for the virus.
A different one. They'll find a different one.
I'm sure they will. They'll find some way to do whatever they're trying
What
to do.
I like though is that if COVID-19, if it forces Planned Parenthood to close for 2 weeks, then the virus will have saved more lives than it has taken. If you think about it.
No, they just do late-term abortions then.
Oh, that's what he's doing, right? He's trying to save these babies that would be aborted so they can be the next generation.
I've not heard that argument before, but that's very interesting, Zach. Where did you hear that from?
On Facebook.
So
Because you can't leave. I mean, because they even said
it's closed for 2 weeks. It'll actually save more lives than COVID-19 taking in that.
How many abortions are performed in 2 weeks? Does anybody know?
3,000 a day. So
In the States?
yeah, in the States,
I wonder how many in Canada.
there's 125,000 every day worldwide abortions.
That's the same as the coronavirus. right now.
125,000 dead babies
A day.
every day.
Oh, wow, that's nowhere near. That's just
I mean, that's the pandemic. I mean, you do the math of all those other major viruses, and that's that. The Spanish flu killed from 1918 to 1919, 45 million people died, and that's pretty much like
That's crazy.
abortion.
45 million people? Really?
Well, 40
Sure
to
that's-
50 million.
That's
That's what it
crazy.
said on the internet. The Spanish flu.
No, I
is what it
don't
was
doubt that
called.
that's what it said. I'm just saying, like seriously.
And that was 100 years ago.
Just think about that. For those numbers right now, just mentally think
I know,
about that. How many people did you
insignificant.
say?
40 to 50
million?
million with an M.
50 million people. All right, so now I want you worldwide. You have the whole world to disperse it, but 50 million bodies you got to deal with. How do you dispose of all of them
I don't know, man.
in a swift manner? 50
Well,
million
you've got to
bodies.
bring the population of the world down to 500 million. So how are you going to do that? This is one method.
Well, they're using a weak virus. That's why
These are
there's
the
probably going to be
scenarios.
like a mutation, and all of a sudden, in like 2 months from now, we're going to be like, oh my god, all these dead
Oh, so
corpses
you
are
believe
alive.
in evolution, that it's going to mutate? I mean, yeah, it can keep
Yeah,
on.
evolution is real.
Sure. No, there's no
It's still
evolution.
going to be a virus. It's not going to evolve into a chipmunk, but
It's adaptation.
yeah.
So yeah, it could get stronger, it could get weaker. But see, sometimes
Yeah,
you
I
can
heard
bait.
that. Yeah,
Sometimes
I
you can
heard
bait
that.
something thinking it's strong into being weak. You just bait them into it.
Yeah, most of the time I was listening that they say that these viruses, when they mutate, they kind of get weaker. They tend not to get stronger, except if you're watching like a Hollywood movie.
What a lot of people don't realize is that if you get infected with a virus and you infect someone else with that version of the virus that you have, that virus
Mm-hmm.
jumps out of you and takes some of your genetic code. And when it enters its new host, it rewrites its host genetic code with part of yours, making
Right.
it actually genetically related.
So imagine,
So how it
Neo, you were a
goes.
computer program, and imagine I was trying to hijinks some of your genetic code. See, you'd be like, "No, dog, you can't have none of mine." You'd be like, "Get off." Or if it did steal some, it would be that light.
So
Right?
viruses actually do rewrite our genetic code.
It would steal some of that Jesus code, and it would get infected itself. It's a reverse infection. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. Sorry.
I keep thinking I have to go to bed so I can go to work.
I know, but then you're like, no, I don't.
Yeah, I know.
Oh
How
my
crazy?
god, I'm no longer in my 20s.
Really?
Yeah, it's my
Oh,
birthday.
old man.
When?
March 21st.
Oh,
for
today. Oh, now, right now.
It's
You were born.
midnight.
Happy birthday, Zach.
Thanks.
Don't
Dang,
worry.
I'm 30 now.
Oh my God.
I think we should sing him happy birthday, you guys.
Congrats, dude. All right. Fine. I mean,
Okay.
okay.
Happy birthday
birthday
to
to
you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Mr. Feinberg.
Happy birthday.
To
Thank
To you
guys.
who are not a Jew. I'm just kidding.
Evil Jew. Yeah. So I'm no longer in my 20s.
You couldn't have
But
been
it
a
stinks.
Rothschild, eh?
Bummer.
Yeah.
We'd have an in.
True.
Yeah, I mean, so if any of
Yeah.
you get like millions of
I'll
dollars,
send y'all your checks. Don't worry.
Right.
I mean, I would do it for y'all. If I got millions, I'd
What?
be like, dogs, check out what I just got.
Oh, of course. I would say, everybody, let's just go move over here.
I'm just saying it's. No, you wouldn't have to move. I would just, got to give you a little stimulus package. But no, I don't know. I don't know. I view this, it is a bad thing. I don't want people to die, but since they're blowing it so out of proportion, in my opinion, blowing it out of proportion, freaking out about it way more than necessary, wiping
And then
out
they're
the grocery
blaming
stores.
Trump for it.
Right, but see, here's the thing. Like the economy, they're like, oh, the economy is so bad. It's like, no, what? Because the stock market is down? Like, no, that has nothing to do. Like the economy, like look at all the stuff that Walmart and all these companies just sold. Like Clorox, green. Why? I don't know. Disinfecting wipes. No, I mean,
I watched everybody get on the plane and just scrub down there. Everything, hey?
I would have done it. Did you do it?
No.
Are you serious? You just walking on the wild side. Do you drive your car with a seatbelt or no? Have faith in God.
Me, I do it because I don't trust the cops.
You don't have faith? You don't wear. You put your
No.
seatbelt on? You should just not do it.
It's not the same thing.
Was she?
You know what? If something's not a law and I don't feel the need to do it, I don't do it. I don't know.
You did
Maybe
have an
that's
incident with an 18-wheeler at one time.
what's up.
You had an incident with an 18-wheeler over a hill.
On a straight stretch. Yeah. Yeah.
So someone's looking out for you.
I have no doubt.
But who? Is
Huh?
it Satan or is it God?
No, I was going down I was doing about 120, 140.
Right. So who tripped you?
And I had this.
Was it Satan or was it God?
What?
Nothing.
And I had a voice speak to me inside my chest, if that makes any sense.
No.
And it was,
Okay.
and it was pushing against my chest, and it said, "Slow down." And I'm like, okay. Took my foot off the gas, slowed down, and then it said, "Slow down some more." And I slowed down some more, and then I was coming up to a corner. I didn't see anything coming. Thought maybe an animal, whatever. And I got to this corner, and I still had lots of time. And there was a 5-ton truck coming around the corner in my lane.
Holy. Okay. I didn't see that coming in the story. See? So, oh, it's a Mack truck of all the things it could be.
And then I had another incident with a loaded semi.
Mack.
Almost had a head on with him. And yeah. But I had God speak to me 2 times when I was in Mexico.
Okay. What did he say?
Wow.
What should we do? What did he say?
What did he say? It was nothing serious.
What was
it was
instructions for us, for our little
you
group?
won't let me talk, Albert.
Will.
We'd been drinking, and we were sitting on the beach at this restaurant, and there was me and we had met 2 other girls, so we were just sitting there talking, and we were drinking margaritas or daiquiris, whatever. And this bartender brought 2 drinks over, and he said, this table, there was some guy sitting at a table, bought you these 2 drinks. And so my daughter, she says, "Oh, thanks." We were feeling pretty buzzed. And my daughter goes, "Oh, thanks," right? And that was it. But I had this voice, it was a little tiny voice though. And it said, "Time to go. Time to leave." And so I looked at the drink and I pushed it away and I said, "No, I don't want any more." And my daughter finished hers. Oh, and I know what it was. He bought us 2 drinks, but there was 3 girls sitting there by now. And I looked at, instead of drinking the drink, I gave it to the other girl, right? And I said, "Here, you can have it. I don't want it." And they sent another drink over and for me. And I said, "No, I don't want any more." And that's when the voice said, "It's time to go." And I looked at my daughter and I said, "We got to go." And she goes, "Oh, come on. We just, we're doing," I said, "No, I want to go." So we left. And what was interesting is we got home and we went to bed, went to sleep. And my daughter was so ill the next day. She threw up for 5 hours. And I never thought anything about it. I thought she had a hangover, but I didn't have a hangover. Like I had no headache, no upset stomach, nothing. And I was on the flight home from Vancouver to Prince George, and all of a sudden it hit me. They put something in her drink. They had to. She was totally blacked out. She doesn't remember nothing. So yeah. That little tiny voice that said, "It's time to go." Because otherwise I probably would have drank the drink. I wouldn't have thought nothing of it because the bartender brought them. You know what I mean? But
It's so funny that you mentioned that. I just watched a movie the other day where the person in the show or movie, like the dude was giving her a beer and she was like, "I'll take yours," because he just drank from it. It's like, smart girl. Take the one that he just drank because that one's safe. Because why would he drink that? Poison himself.
Yeah. But it scared my daughter. She goes, I've never felt like this ever. And that just made me think. I was thinking, you know what? I bet they put something in those drinks.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So you got to really watch. You don't, just because you're on holidays and you're thinking this and that. But I just, the voice just said to me out of my, and it was in my chest again. It just said, it's time to go. And I listened right away and I said, okay, we're leaving. No, I'm having a good time. We're going.
It's like, yeah, you can only have a good time where you're alive. Come on, we're leaving.
Yeah. But you don't suspect things, right? At that moment, especially after you've had a few drinks.
No, definitely not when you've had a few drinks.
No. So yeah. So I know God speaks to us. I don't know why he speaks to me like that. I have no idea. Probably because I'm too thick in the head. That's possible.
Fair enough. I mean, I ain't gonna doubt you.
I don't listen to any voices in my head. Like, I don't do that.
Well, I feel you. I'm just trying to figure out why we're all doing all this stupid coronavirus. But again, then I have to think of all the good things that are happening, not the bad things. Like, because everybody's always just reported like, oh, look at all this 4,000 million billion deaths. It's like, okay, great. What about all the good things that are coming about this? Like, come on. What do you guys think about universal basic income? How about that? How about I bring that?
Oh, communism. Oh, yeah, I love it.
No,
that's exactly what it is.
Did I say
living wage,
I
man.
said universal basic income. I didn't say communism.
Is there a difference there, or what?
Yeah. Universal
Oh,
basic income just means that you get a certain amount each month for whatever reason because of some such and such taxes or something that you're contributing to. It doesn't mean like communism. Like, I'm gonna take all your stuff and give it to everybody else.
Well, that's what basic universalism, or not universalism, universal income is communism.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's how it begins. Yes, it is.
No, because you know what universal basic income is? We're about to get that. If we get it in the United States, if we get this
That's
relief,
right.
that's universal basic income for everybody under a certain, that's what it is.
I know what it is.
So what's going to pay for it?
That sounds stupid.
But do you not want the money? I mean, they can always exclude.
Have you never listened to what's his name? What was that guy's name that was from Cuba? He was on here. What's his name? Jose.
Yeah.
Jose, okay.
Yeah. He was from Cuba and he hated it. That's what they had, was basic universal basic income.
Really? So you're going to hate it because you get a certain amount just for free?
Well, no, you still have to work. I mean, certain things start a certain way, right? Now, whether you're a doctor or whether you're a server, you make the same amount of money.
So they have so they're doing it the crappy way.
The what?
How do you think it should be?
How do I think it should
I don't know.
be?
I have yet to work. I have yet to work on
Albert.
it. I haven't considered. I'm just saying that's pretty crappy.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you I could probably come up with a better way, but then again, I don't know the ins and the outs. So now, thanks for the challenge.
Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. I think we all have a right to food and clothing, and I believe that. And we, like in Canada, we have a basic system. Like we have a welfare system. But the problem with the welfare system is, it's generational, and it's a proven fact.
Well, that's for sure. If we all, as one generation, come to one agreement, the next generation after us, they could completely erase everything we just did.
Well, I mean, in Canada, we all know that if you're raised on welfare, the chances of being on welfare are much higher. Right? There's and there's different reasons for people being on welfare all of their life.
No, of course, there's definitely multiple different reasons.
It doesn't make a lazy person. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
but
of course, some of them some of them are not lazy at all. They just have
Absolutely.
a problem. They have like a drug problem or something, and like they really they do work. They work in their own way. They're just not doing a good job. They're doing just begging for money so they can buy like crack or something. You know? But those people are the people that need to be helped, not just like shunned or ignored. You know, but this like I don't know. In this pandemic, people are actually looking at the poor people and they're like, "Hey, you need a mask too. Like you need to be protected as well, even though you're like living on the street."
Those bacteria-laden things, you wouldn't catch me wearing one of them.
So you can't take handouts now because you're people
Oh, I
can't give
do.
you stuff.
Oh yeah, I take stuff. Sure.
If you were homeless, you would.
I actually, you know what the truth is? I actually am floored when somebody offers to help do something. You just don't see it as
That's
much
true.
as you used to. Like, I'll give you an example. When I got home, I'm supposed to be under quarantine, and so I asked a family member if she would do a little shopping for me. No, I don't feel like it.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and it took in two other people that that I know, but I'm not well. Both offered to do my shopping.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Very.
You know, it's interesting that the one that you ask, and I never ask anybody for anything.
I know, right? But then when you ask that one person, it's almost like you put them on the spot. They're like, nope, no, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. But it's the same person that you always give to.
Not always, but yeah, generally
For
speaking,
me,
if you give to them, you're going to give to them again.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, I have to, because I have to forgive, right? I mean, of course my feelings are hurt, right? You feel rejected or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm not going down that road.
Yeah, definitely don't do that. But I don't know. I just think this stupid rice-a-roni situation is stupid. Sorry, rice-a-roni, but buy your rice because the coronavirus might come and kill you. Even though it hasn't even killed that. Like, isn't Ebola more dangerous than this? But yet, didn't we have that not that long ago? And we were like, oh, cool, we got it under control. But no, this is like all over. We can't stop that one. That's interesting to me. Is it God who made the not so deadly one escape, or like what's going on here?
Or maybe they're all man-made.
Well, it's a possibility that some of these are man-made, but again, by man-made, what do you mean? Like once upon a time we were breeding wolves and we wound up with a pug? That's what you're talking about? And the pug is the one that's screwing us up?
No.
I've heard,
The pug of the virus world, right?
what I've heard is that China was working on boosting the immune system to its livestock. So it was manufacturing this virus to boost up the immune system, and it got out.
Yeah, that's what I heard from the doctor guy, Dr. James Cottrell, who does the DTM trance thingy. It's like
There was an interesting thing I watched on the woman that's like, I think she's like the head scientist for vaccinations worldwide. And I watched her do this commercial. It's online, you can see it. She does this commercial on everybody needs to be vaccinated. It's so safe. There's been, on and on and on and on, right? And then she gets in front of this committee and she tells the committee, we don't know what's going on with the virus with this. We don't know if it's safe. We don't know if there's, what's going on. I just thought to myself, you've got to be kidding. Anyway, so the big push is on. They've got three new vaccinations that they're bringing out for kids, I guess.
Well, I was just curious, how did they even identify it? They were like, what's the process? Like, what? Somebody just came in sick, and they were like, oh, you know what you have? You have coronavirus. And then how long did it take for them to be like, oh my gosh, this is a different one from all the other ones that we've ever seen. It's like slightly different. Me as a creationist, I'm like,
Well,
you
I'll
don't
tell
say. You don't say that it's slightly different from last time. I wonder why.
this episode exactly gives the people who are in control something to consider, because the thing you want to do is you want to invade a nation, but you want to have the infrastructure all intact. And so before they were saying things like, well, if you fight a World War III with nuclear weapons, then the next World War will be fought with sticks and stones, because you'd basically destroy the infrastructure. So what I would say is that the next war will really be microscopic.
Germ warfare.
Yes.
You would be a good advisor.
1984.
Right.
Absolutely.
Although I don't know what he wrote about that.
Well, I'm not really sure, but I was reading, oh, never mind. It just totally left my mind. I just think it's pretty coincidental.
That?
Just everything that's going on, how everything has worked.
Yeah,
You
like
know.
why the breakout now at the end of the election cycle?
I don't think
You
it
could
has
ask
anything to
all
do with the
sorts
election.
of silly questions. I'm just saying.
I think it's a worldwide thing. I don't know what it
You
is.
know what
but
I noticed the other day? I was like, oh, it's a worldwide pandemic, but I look up and I still see chemtrails. I guess those guys are still chilling.
I noticed.
Or
I
they're-
noticed one, a big one yesterday. Oh no, this morning.
I
I
was
got
like,
up, went for
or
coffee.
there must be the robots. Never mind. It doesn't matter. They're robots.
I couldn't believe the size of it. Clear blue sky, sun was coming up, and just boom, there it is.
And I was like, really? Like,
What is that? You know? Right. Oh, right.
What
That's
is-
condensation.
Oh, this is
That never goes
condensation
away.
cloud that lingers forever.
Spreads
No?
out.
Like, dog, I can't even try and duplicate that in the laboratory if I even tried hard. Like,
Yeah. So they're not slowing down on that.
But
Because,
that's
you
the
know,
other part of
we
the
live-
conspiracy, though,
and-
isn't it? It's the 5G that's making you sick, and it was the rain down of all these elements. Now you are an antenna because you've absorbed them into you. See, that's the conspiracy.
Yeah.
I've done my
Well,
homework. I
that's
do all my
Wuhan.
homework
That
before
was
I come
taken
to
in.
class.
That was taking place in Wuhan. Is it Wuhan, China?
Well, that's where,
Isn't
dude,
that where they claim it started?
that's where they claim it started, and it just so happens there's a book written about the kind of, maybe the same kind of thing. You know, it's called
Well-
Eyes of Darkness by Dean Koontz. Check it out.
Yeah, he's not my favorite.
Look at the book, though, because it's the same story almost.
Yeah.
Seriously, a virus breaks out in Wuhan, China. Like, come on, that's the story. Are you
Really?
intrigued now?
That's
I'm not-
funny.
I'm not kidding. It's the same city he writes in the book. Why would I recommend it?
Well, I just watched a guy talking earlier on what's it called? Oh, deep state, all that. And he was pretty convincing. But you know what? You just don't know what to believe. So you have to have all this information and just kind of put it on a shelf and
You do know what to believe because the Lord God will guide you to the correct information.
really.
Fine.
And that's why
Don't you
we
think-
are all partial preterist futurists. And
No, that's why. What do you mean by we all? I'm not part of your camp.
I'm talking about people everywhere.
Okay, well, I'm talking about me and the people that agree with me. That's a different group.
Yeah.
It's all
And
about you, Robert. It's all about you. It's always
Yeah.
Definitely all
Absolutely.
about me, because if
The
I
world
don't
of
hold
Albert.
the hangout, it doesn't happen. So
that's
clearly,
right. You're like Atlas with the world upon your shoulders. How noble of you.
it's getting heavy. So like, because I can't go to work. But it's okay because you guys were already paying for it before I even. It was already normal before that. It's fine.
What do you think, Stacy?
About what I had to leave for a few minutes. My mother got up and she was convinced that someone was coming here to die, and so I had to tell her it was a dream and go back to sleep. So I had to put her back to bed. So I'm not quite sure.
We were dyeing shirts. That's what we were doing. We were coloring them. We ran out of the color orange.
Okay, you're not even making sense anymore.
That's the
Well,
point.
Albert's always been the tie-dye kind of guy.
So what Stacy was saying, because you asked him a question.
Uh-huh.
So I come on when you were saying that's when we get all the denominations and everything. So I'm not quite sure what
Oh,
where we were in the conversation.
good question. I don't remember either.
Minus 50 DKP right there.
I mean,
Oh, there he is.
Oh, Zach, you're still awake, man.
Hello there.
I mean, what else is he going to do? He can't go to class.
Actually, his school's not canceled because he still has school.
No, because I heard on KYW radio they were saying like if you can't offer classes to everybody online, like even like people with like, then you can't offer classes to anyone online. So like technically, unless you're in a private charter school, then you're cool. That's what I heard.
So here, listen to this. My sister wrote me this this text here. She said that all this is going to be tons of good coming out of this. She's a futurist, right? But anyway, she said, I said, give me a list of what you think's coming out of it. She goes, well, the enemy is bringing fear around the world, and God says, be not afraid of sudden fear. He doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but of love and sound mind. Yeah. To have peace in the storm is what Jesus gives us. He wants us to believe and trust him. That's why knowing him and his word is so important in this time. He works everything for the good. Okay.
That's right.
A list.
That's not a very good list, but
I said, haha, that's not a list.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sermon.
it's like you just agreed with me 3 times. Like, what are you doing? You're supposed to refute me, not agree.
Well, I think every now and then the world needs to be shook up a little bit. So
I think so too, and this is a good shakeup.
Well, you know
even
what?
Though
Absolutely, I agree.
It could be artificial. I don't care. It's happening. And like all I know is like I can buy stocks for like super cheap, and that's awesome.
It's a time to buy.
Dude, it might not even be the bottom,
I mean,
but whatever. I'm buying anyway. So.
Yeah, but what happens like in 28 or 1925, 29, the big crash there. So when we went into the dirty 30s, those companies were no longer around. So when they say the bottom is falling out of the market, that actually would be the bottom because there's no more stocks. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like their stocks could come back up because there was no more company.
Yeah,
well, no, there are some that could do that, like JCPenney, because they've been like reduced to pennies. Like they are now a penny stock for real. A penny stock means less than $5, but literally speaking now, they're less than $1. They're pennies.
So
JCPenney's might go under, and so will all these other 25 corporations, at least for the moment. But that's because they were already screwed to begin with. They were already in danger before this whole thing happened, and now they're in super danger. So unless the
is there
government
value?
literally saves them, you will not see a J.C. Penney ever
So
again.
is there value on what their stocks are?
No. That's just one part of the, like, they have such
So
and
they're
such
in
money.
they're in financial trouble. Is that what you're saying right now?
They were already in financial trouble before this whole thing even happened, and now they're
Gotcha.
even so hard. So even if their stock was like $10 a share, now it's 50 cents a share. That's how hard.
What
these
did
have
it start out as? Do you know?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, you
I don't know. I'm just
Okay.
using J.C. Penney as an example.
Yeah.
I don't know what the share price was.
So
but
that's what
they were-
happened in the 30s. Is everybody lost
They
their
came
fortune.
down to pennies, and then somebody bought them all up because somebody had the money.
Well, but as many of those companies were gone. Like in the dirty 30s.
Well, no, that's what they did. Yeah, they would buy up all the companies, and they would liquidate the retarded ones, and they would keep the ones that were good. I mean, that's the same difference I would do. If I was going to get a bunch of cards, I would gather all the good cards, get rid of all the
You
bad
like
cards.
the evil umbrella companies.
Exactly, which is what I have a tattoo of. I'll show you one time.
Yeah. So that's what that's what I find interesting about it. Yeah, these stocks are low. Maybe it's a good time to buy. Maybe it's not. We don't know what the future holds, right? Amazon. I would stick with Amazon.
All you have to do is stick with when you believe the bottom is.
Yeah.
And then you can put in, if you use
Don't you have to
M1
research these
Finance,
companies? Don't you have to research them to see how they are doing financially? I mean,
of course you do if you're going to pick
Yeah.
companies. But if you're not picking companies, then no, you don't have to. If you're using ETFs,
I heard that Amazon is only shipping essential items at the moment.
oh, is that right?
yeah, and that's a good move on their part.
I mean,
They're
I've
only
bought-
shipping essential items. Why would you pick anything different, right? It's perfect.
I bought. I got yesterday.
Is shampoo? No.
No, I've bought in stuff that's not essentials, and they're still selling.
Are they shipping?
Yeah.
They're hiring shippers like crazy.
Dude, I could do it right now.
Yeah, I saw my local Publix, the little like food grocery store. They're hiring like crazy. If I really needed money, I'd probably go work for them for a little bit.
But you got to be on food stamps when you work for Amazon, apparently. Because they pay crap.
I'm just saying, like, everything is getting bought. So, like, the economy can't be crap because everything is getting bought out like crazy. So, like, if the economy's going bad, like, there's no reason for that. This is a farce.
The thing is you know what, everybody's buying.
The one thing that the wealthy like more than making money is the opportunity to make money. And so the opportunity to make money is in jeopardy. So they will spend their own money to preserve that. So don't worry about it.
The thing is,
Yeah,
is so many people already live paycheck to paycheck. Now,
Exactly.
this fear mongering has made them go out and load up their credit cards.
Well, there you go. That's how evil it is.
Yeah.
But is that enough to destroy us all? Are we Sodom and Gomorrah?
Well, they say that in British Columbia, that
Well, maybe British Columbia is Sodom and Gomorrah. But
a certain amount, I can't remember what the rate was. I just heard it a couple of months ago, are within a certain percentage of insolvency. Within 100% of British Columbians are within, I don't know, I can't remember.
And why? And how evil is that? See, so maybe this whole thing is a good thing because now it proves
Could be.
how many people can work from home, how many people can be paid a decent wage, right? This should be a wake-up call for the entire world, right? That's what they're doing right here. That's what they're trying to do, isn't it?
Well, there are some
No, I don't know
countries
what
that
we're
don't live in
doing.
high
If it's
debt.
not if this is not a wake-up call for the world, then I quit. Like, count me out right now. I tap out. I'm out. Peace out, y'all. You guys have fun with all these things. I'm out.
Well, I don't know.
It's just we're in uncharted waters. We don't know what it's going to be like.
We don't know. All you can do is go back in history and say, well, this happened.
Makes a great
Yeah.
movie, right?
We
I
don't
wonder
know
how many
what's going to
books are
happen.
being written right now.
It's like
But
more
do
like
You
a
don't know how
nightmare.
deep the water is.
Hmm?
You don't know how deep the water is. It's kind of thrilling. It makes a great movie.
Yeah. There's a lot of books being written right now.
Hmm.
What's going to happen? What's going on? Predicting. Look at the videos online. Rapture
Guys
2020.
really did lose out listening to the prologue of Matthew's book. It's really good.
Whatever. He could have waited. What a snot.
He purposely chose to read it to a small
You know what?
audience.
He'll read it to us. We'll just bug him.
Yeah, he will. But
No,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
he'll read it to you. But I already heard it.
Well, you can play World of Warcraft.
That's right. I'll listen to it while I'm playing World of Warcraft because I know about the world and the Warcraft that they're trying to, the war that they're trying to craft. I'm the best candidate. Why am I the one who's running this thing? Why can't you do it?
Me? I don't know how.
I did.
See? But what if I taught you? Would you take it over? Would you do it?
I did turn
Probably.
the television back on.
You would actually faithfully run it
You're
every week.
interrupting, Albert.
No, I'm
Stacy's
asking you.
speaking.
because I knew that we were going to be shut in for an undetermined amount of time. I did turn the television back on for my mother to watch. So, you know, I've been flipping through the channels and hearing all about the virus. And so I'm really kind of going back to doing a study on the human condition. And it's quite interesting, you know, what people cling to.
Like toilet paper?
Yeah, that's unreal.
Isn't that crazy?
So, what kind of leaves can I use as a substitute for toilet paper?
So
Cactus.
the way I was thinking of,
Mhm.
as far as an American is concerned, your ass could be going to hell in a handbasket, but at least it'll be clean.
Yeah.
I was thinking if you can't get any
That's
food,
what you want to
you're not-
do when you're before Jesus. You'd be like, at least my ass is clean.
Yeah. First thing I did this morning, I got up, went and got a coffee, washed my car.
Okay. You washed your car? What? Yeah, I guess if you're bored, you might as well, right?
Well, it's been sitting in the dust. It was really dirty.
You're like, it's so dirty. There's not even any pollen on it yet. Like, I gotta wash it.
I put up a bluebird house today.
Nice.
How did that go? Did you get any bluebirds? Anybody settle in?
Well, they'll be there in about a week or so. They're looking around for a place, and so I just put it up. So
Have you seen any bluebirds eyeing the property?
no, but I haven't really looked either. I've been inside mostly.
Why have you been inside?
Well, I'm having to look after my mother and stuff. So, you know, there's
Because
other-
come on, we know why you've been inside. That too, but yeah, no, it's because of race-a-brony, coronavirus, stupidest virus ever. Is it a virus? Is it a disease?
I did finish my work of having to go every day to feed this lady's cats because the guy that dislocated his shoulder, he's able to do that now. So I don't have to make that long trip to the next town every day. And so now
Perfect.
my Bible studies have
Perfect
been
time.
canceled. All church services have been canceled. So I really have nowhere to go except 1 mile down the road to feed my horses every day and the cats. And the
That's
dogs.
what's up. Yo, now you get to have some fun time with your animals, and you don't have to worry about anything. And you don't have to worry about, like, oh, I didn't go because,
I've
like,
just been really tired lately. Really tired.
we're good. So that's why you should take a rest.
How come you're tired, Stacy?
Yeah.
Well, for the
After-
last 2 weeks, I've been really, really busy, helping other people and stuff. And so, that. And then my mother got her days and nights mixed up where she'll come out fully dressed at 1 o'clock in the morning, thinking that it's in the morning time. I'm like, no, it's still in the middle of the night, so I'm having to kind of sleep lightly or stay awake a lot. So, I'm getting kind of tired.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you guys, I think I'm going to say goodnight.
I think it's about that time.
It is.
Yeah.
It's great for you
All
to
right,
come on,
guys.
Zach, and let us know how your life is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll be on more often now.
Well, that's kind of great.
By the way, if you thought I was kidding about the whole every single day, like, I guess you'll have to stay tuned and see if Goku dies.
Well, I see that.
Uh,
What's it? Zoom has a no, not Zoom. What is it? What do we use?
Yeah,
Discord.
we're using Zoom. We're using
Discord.
Zoom.
Discord now has video chat in their voice. Say.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. Well, that's what because I had closed mine. It must have updated, and I had
Do they
big
want a
thing
piece
came
of
on.
the pie?
Oh.
But no, Discord and Zoom and Microsoft, everybody's increasing like their virtual things. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a revolution that's happening. You're not even seeing it. It's because all the people are now like, oh, wow, the job that I was doing from over here and I had to travel to, like, wow, look, I can do the job from over here instead. That
Yeah.
could have the potential to change a lot of things. Just saying. Maybe lots of less traffic, trying to curb the global warming. We could solve so many problems. I'm just saying. Damn.
all right, guys. God bless.
Yeah.
God bless.
Hi, guys.
Good night.
Peace.